chilly afternoon here in downtown St. Louis. Glad you're with us. Game number 3 between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Colorado Rockies. The old courthouse and the St. Louis Arch. And it's Mother's Day. Welcome to St. Louis Cardinals baseball with my partner today, Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And Rick, when you think about Mother's Day, no better way to spend it than right here at Busch Stadium.
Well, you bet. And it is a very special day. And from the players that we talked to before this game, they're all reminding us just how important the moms have been in their careers. The number of times they sat and watched them play, took them to practice. So certainly a celebration for the players, everybody here at the ballpark. And it's a beautiful day for baseball.
And it's a celebration of pitching. If you're a Cardinal fan, boy, the pitching has been so good this weekend. 27 in a row on Friday night by Shelby Miller. A near no-hitter yesterday by Adam Wainwright. And now we've got Garcia going today. But all told, this pitching has been outstanding.
Well, you know I like pitching, Dan, and I've seen some of the best you're ever going to see back-to-back. With Shelby Miller, 13 strikeouts in Game 1 of the series. Adam Wainwright was terrific as well. Two different styles, but they sure got the job done. And Jaime Garcia, a third style today. All the movement, pitches down in the zone. We'll see if he can compete with what we've seen the last couple of days.
And the Cardinals come to the ballpark, though, today with some bad news as Jake Westbrook has been put on the disabled list. He has some elbow inflammation. And the lefty John Gass will get the call up from Memphis. He'll make the start on Tuesday night. It's the Rockies, it's the Cardinals. Cardinals looking for a sweep on this Mother's Day. We're back with more in just a moment here on Fox Sports Midwest. Bat of Major League Baseball. They created the Pink Bat Initiative with baseball back in 2006. It's now in its 8th year, and what happens, the players use these bats today. It then goes on to MLB.com. They auction those off, and since that time, that they introduced these bats. Over $1 million has been raised for various charities. Very well done. We'll see that this afternoon. Hopefully not many of these pitches will be hitting the bats from Jaime Garcia.
Garcia's been outstanding his last couple of starts. 8 innings in each of those, including a victory against the Brewers in Milwaukee. Garcia's been sharp. All Cardinals starting pitchers have been.
It has been a historic weekend when you think about the starting pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals. Shelby Miller, Adam Wainwright, Garcia today. Mom, sit back, enjoy it. It's your day.
My fastball was airline. I was locating it good and just throwing it like I always do.
He went right after Cargo. Then he goes right after Tulowitzki. Goodbye. Goodbye.
I'm blessed to be a part of this organization, that's for sure.
There's strikeout number 11 tonight. Got him. Strikeout number 12. He got him. Strikeout number 13. 27 in a row.
Get back to work tomorrow for the next start.
But my key today was getting back to the basics and keeping it simple, getting strike one and going from there.
And Waino looks nasty. The 0-2. And he got him. Struck him out.
And I had a great time out there. Yadier was amazing as always. Defense played great, and I had a great time.
And this pitching, extraordinary. Back-to-back shutouts. Miller in game 1. Wainwright here in game 2. How about a sweep tomorrow in game 3? The pictures you see come from the baseball factory in Costa where all Major League Baseballs are made. These picks include the pink stitching that will be featured in every single Major League game today. On average, it takes 15 minutes to hand stitch each baseball. By the way, according to Major League Baseball, each team rubs up or muds up about 10 dozen baseballs each game. That adds up to 1,800 balls. But you know they've made more. That's over 450 man-hours of work to make all those baseballs. Throwing them today. How about Jaime Garcia? He gets the start when we come back and looking for win number 5. Are waiting. Designated driver. See your Mid-America Chevy dealer or log on to stlchevy.com. Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. What's a perfect day to have the floppy hat giveaway? Not a cloud in the sky for Mother's Day here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis as the Cardinals look for a sweep against Walt Weiss and the Rockies. Walt's lineup reads like this: Dexter Fowler, the switch hitter, then Jordan Pacheco, Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, WILIN Rosario, Nolan Arredondo, Josh Rutledge, Charlie Blackmon, and Jorge De La Rosa. Hitless this season. Defense around the horn. Good to see Holliday back out there. And you see all the innings that Yachty has piled up behind the plate. An amazing workload. Well over 300 innings already. Our Kia starter, Jaime Garcia.
Start number 8 for Garcia. Last 2 times out. 8 innings in each of those starts. And he's just been terrific. Looking to join a couple of teammates with 5 victories here this afternoon.
Dexter Fowler. Switch hitting center fielder. He's been their primary center fielder since back in 2009. And he's already piled up 8 home runs. And you think about his speed in that spacious National League West, covering all the ground in those big ballparks, certainly Coors Field, and also the triples. Look at Adam Wainwright, who was just sensational yesterday. And Shelby Miller, 27 straight on Friday night. And it's a swing and a miss to start this game. Why not? A strikeout of Dexter Fowler. So if you're just joining us, the big news, though, today here at the ballpark, Jake Westbrook not expected to be a serious stint on the DL from what we're hearing from John Mozeliak and others, but placed on the DL because of a right elbow inflammation. And John Gast has been called up, the lefty from AAA Memphis. He'll get the start on Tuesday.
And Gast has an ERA just over 1 in AAA, and he's been terrific as well. So it's really tough to join a rotation that's been as good as the Cardinals have and not miss a beat. But they really like what they saw from Gast in spring training. And Jake Westbrook, again, I think maybe more caution than anything else, giving him a couple of starts. That's the expectation, that he'll just miss 2 starts.
Jordan Pacheco is also at times a backup catcher. He's played third base, and he's at first today with the lefty Jaime Garcia getting the start, and Todd Helton is on the bench. A little bit more on John Gast as we saw him in spring training. You talk to scouts, they'll tell you it's an average fastball, but a plus curve, and 1.16 ERA, as you mentioned. In the air down the right field line, out of play. He's 3-1. And they love the fact that he has been pounding the strike zone. 38 2/3. He struck out 35. And there's a happy mom. Only 13 walks. And that's really been the theme of what they've been trying to preach, is make sure you pound the strike zone. One ball and 2 strikes.
It's really what the Cardinals starting pitching has been doing this year. They lead the National League in terms of fewest walks per 9 innings, and they also are keeping the ball in the ballpark, only 21 home runs. A lot of times those 2 stats don't intersect. If you're throwing a lot of strikes, you typically give up a lot of home runs, but the Cardinals leading in both of those statistical categories.
The 2-2 lifted into left center field. Jay won't get there, and that will roll all the way to the wall. Pacheco will stop at second base. A stand-up double. All right, Jaime. 26 in a row. What do you say?
You might as well shoot for that. You know, it's interesting. Mike Matheny talking before the game. We'll look at that pitch. Garcia not up in the strike zone. Pacheco just goes down and gets it, and just places it perfectly in left center field. But Mike Matheny didn't back off the, well, you expecting the same from Garcia today type comment. He said, yeah. And Derek Lilliquist has been the same way, talking about these starters. Yeah, I expect him to continue it. In my mind, they're aiming as high as they can aim. Now, are they going to reach that perfection every day? Obviously not. But you got to aim it great to get good. If you aim it good, you're going to get less than that.
Gonzalez pops it up. Real key in this series has been the fact that Gonzalez and Tulowitzki have been shut down. The entire lineup has, but when you have those two back-to-back and keep them off the base paths, that is a difference with the Rockies.
And this guy's such a special player, Gonzalez. He hits left-handers very well, actually average over 380 against lefties in total this year. So he stays in pretty well. Very, very talented middle of the lineup.
Nasty breaking ball, really the second one that has been a knee buckler from Garcia here in the first inning. Toyota keys to the game concerning these two, Tulowitzki and Gonzalez. Hitless in this series, the Rockies, with just a total of now 4 hits in the 3 games, but Gonzalez has hit Garcia fairly well. Loses the bat over the dugout. Watch out as he strikes out, and that's strikeout number 2 in the ball game for Garcia. Everybody clapping, so we assume everyone's all right.
So much for looking good against left-handers. Very off balance in this at bat is Carlos Gonzalez, and a mom gets not only a pink bat maybe here at the ballpark, but she also gets one from Carlos Gonzalez as well. Isn't that nice? Glad she's okay.
Rocky's glad that this guy is okay. Troy Tulowitzki, last year played in a total of 47 games. There's the changeup from Garcia. Wants to do baseball. I mentioned this to Rick before we came on the air. If you go by the stats, and how pitches are viewed coming into play today, this being his 8th start. Jaime Garcia has thrown a total of 21 changeups. That to me is shocking.
3 changeups a start is not what you'd expect from a guy that used to use that as a weapon. There's one there. Put that on your total, Dan. The reality is Garcia's sinker's been so good, and he's also pitching inside. He's got a little cutter that he's using that maybe he's, I don't want to say forgotten about it, but almost say not needed it. I mean, if you think of a normal game, you should throw 8 to 10. So the changeup count down, but certainly the effectiveness has been way up for Jaime.
You had some great catchers that you threw to, and saw that note on Yadier Molina. A lot of the credit needs to go to him for what's been taking place, the fact that he's been calling very good games.
Very interesting that Mike Matheny talked quite a bit about how Yadi was almost unconsolable after the game because he allowed somebody to get a hit off of Adam Wainwright. He just kind of felt personally responsible for that, which is what you want your catcher to feel. Wainwright felt like he had the kind of stuff that maybe that was going to be his day to throw that no-hitter, and Yadi was feeling along with him, and he, according to Mike Matheny, was a little grouchy after the game. He just couldn't get over it, that they weren't able to go all 9.
So Molina has caught 306 out of a possible now 315 innings this year. The 2-2 pitch to Troy Tulowitzki. Little chopper left side. Backhanded by Freeze. Slings it over to Craig for the out. So the Rockies strand another runner in scoring position. Happy Mother's Day from all of us here at Fox Sports Midwest. Then Craig, Molina, Freeze. John Jay drops down to the 7th spot. Then Cosma and the pitcher Jaime Garcia hitless this year. Rockies defense brought to you by Dobbs. We'll highlight the 2-time Gold Glove winner, Troy Tulowitzki. Right now has a fielding percentage that is one of the best all-time by any shortstops. And his rookie season, he was just terrific. Led the league in total chances, also fielding percentage. And here is Jorge De La Rosa.
2009, he won 16 games for the Rockies. Had Tommy John surgery, still working his way back, but he can be tough when he's right. A couple of left-handers battling today. And we're thankful to all the moms here at the ballpark, including my mom on the right in the screen. There's my wife and daughter along with her. And I went and spared no expense, Dan, to get her a floppy hat and a Matheny jersey for Mother's Day.
Big spender you are, Mr.
No doubt.
Horton. Are they sitting in the green seats there?
Yes, they are. Not very far from where that bat went flying into the seats.
The moms here at the ballpark, and you think about the moms that have helped these major league players season after season. Maybe Dad was working late hours or had to travel for a living. Who knows? But moms sometimes became the one that taught their son about the game of baseball.
A lot of players expressing their appreciation of their moms, and some shout outs as we go along here this afternoon from the players to their moms. And Matt Carpenter was doing that via Twitter today. He said the great thing about my mom is that she loves me when I don't play well. And he expressed appreciation for that. And again, the moms of these players, an awful lot of hours sitting in folding chairs in the hot sun supporting their kids.
2 balls and no strikes on the Cardinal leadoff man, Matt Carpenter. He's hitting .404 during day games this year, which is in the top 5 of the National League. 3-0. I was at a baseball game this morning, Rick, and a guy named Mozeliak was also there.
Really?
And of course, we were scouting the 8- and 9-year-olds that are on the horizon. And our sons happen to play on the team, so we just happen to be there. But they are known as the Athletics. Will Mozeliak and Luke McLaughlin, and kids are the best. Mo was telling me that Will told him last night, he said, "Dad, I have a pretty important question for you." And he said, "Sure." And it was the A's against the Cardinals today. And Will knew that the A's were facing the Cardinals, and they're not the A's. He said, "Dad,
right,
you're still going to cheer for me tomorrow."
How about that?
We're facing the Cardinals. And Mo, to his credit, didn't miss a beat. He said, "I'm torn."
Has a dry sense of humor, does he not?
Yes, he does. Switch hitting Carlos Beltran. Short lead at first by Carpenter, and Carlos skies one.
Just missed it.
Yes, he did. Hits it a mile high into left, and Cargo will make the catch. One away.
De La Rosa has a bit more of a herky-jerky motion than I remember from him. I remember him being a bit smoother than we see now. And as we mentioned, he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. That year he was 16-9 with the Rockies. They had an outstanding rotation from top to bottom, and really was kind of a blow to their club when he went down.
Good to see Holliday back in there after twisting his ankle on what seemed to be a harmless play. Tail end of the ball game yesterday. And I hope those of you that are watching us today can get to a computer and head to the Post-Dispatch website. Read a very good article done on Matt and his family, specifically for Mother's Day, done by Derek Gould. Holliday 4 for 7 against this lefty, but talked about the fact that they are a baseball family. And when Matt was growing up, it was his mother that really helped him along. His dad was coaching a lot, and his mom has been a spokesman for those suffering from cancer. And she suffers from colon cancer, was treated here locally. But a very, very nice piece done by Derek Gould.
Outstanding article, and it really kind of points to the family connection. And Matt's father, a college coach, and his brother, an athlete too, and his mom's here at the ballpark today. There's Derek. Outstanding article.
Back in 2010, this lefty was a 16-game winner. He's in the final year of a 3-year deal. He's dealt with elbow issues and surgery the last couple of seasons. They feel when he's right. Many around baseball will tell you he can be very tough. He can get it into that 93 to 96 range from the left side. Holliday has just tore up his former team. Near 400 average against the Rockies. Hits it out of play. Drafted by Colorado back in 1998. Made his major league debut, then played 5 seasons with the club. And a career .374 hitter when facing the Rockies. 8 home runs. He's knocked in 23 in 26 games. The strikeout of Holliday for out number 2.
He has hit De La Rosa very well, tried to stay back, but just a little bit tardy on that pitch up and away. Holliday really good at driving the ball to the right side of the infield. I think that's what he was thinking there. Alan Craig really has been swinging the bat well, Dan, of late. Average up over 300 with his big day yesterday.
Takes a ball low. 6th in the National League with the 27 driven in. Top 10 in doubles with 10. And to follow up your point, multi-hit games in 9 of his last 18. One ball, one strike.
Dan, you mentioned the cloudless sky here today. I can't imagine it being any crisper and cleaner and clearer at the ballpark than it is now. It seems like it's just an HD day here at Busch Stadium. And of course, we're celebrating Mother's Day, packed house. Cardinals playing well.
And the cool temperatures, but apparently by Tuesday we're expecting temperatures near 90 degrees. Have that feel of St. Louis, and before you know it, we'll be wishing for days like today.
Hold on to those floppy hats.
You bet. In the air out to right center field. Fowler to get that extra gear as that carried. And he makes the play. We're scoreless after 1. Well, somewhere in Cardinal Nation, it's the perfect person to join Kayla as the next Fox Sports Midwest girl. It might be you. Submit your photos and video at foxsportsmidwest.com/girls. Garcia has Rosario, Arenado, and Rutledge. That's tapped foul. Rosario, the year ago, club record 28 home runs, drove in 71. Club record as far as catchers are concerned for the Rockies. They feel he's really improved his defense. Last season, his bat kept him in the lineup, led big league catchers and pass balls and also errors. WILIN Rosario.
We saw a lot with the bat from him a year ago. 7 home runs in the early going. In fact, the Rockies have a lot of power in their lineup. Michael Kadire, part of that power. He has 7 home runs, was put on the disabled list today.
And Kadire has an inflamed cervical disc, is what they're calling it.
Put on the 15-day disabled list today. Charlie Blackmon, who's starting in right field, was recalled for this game.
3rd strikeout for Garcia.
Off-speed pitch from Garcia has Rosario out front, so maybe going more to the off-speed pitches, Dan, that you talked about, the changeup not being used sparingly, but been really sharp with him so far. The breaking pitches to the lefties and the changeups to the righties. Classic way of pitching.
Arenado getting a chance to play this year, 2 seasons ago. As he lifts it into center field, Jay is back. He won't get it. It was 2 years ago that Arenado led all of minor league baseball with 122 RBIs. He was a 2nd-round pick by the Rockies a few years ago out of high school, and they're expecting big things from him.
Able to square this ball up because it's up in the zone. No chance for John Jay. Side view of that swing, you can see it's belt high or above, which we can, when we say pitch is up, that's what we mean, belt high and up. If it's letter high and above, that's the pitch that Shelby Miller, Adam Wainwright are able to get strikeouts with. But it's that belt high to the letters where you have problems.
Josh Rutledge hitting .244. 2nd baseman for the Rockies. Real versatile player, can play all over the infield, and last year he was called up from Double-A once Tulowitzki was hurt, and the 24-year-old went on a tear. It's 345. First month and a half he was up at 27 RBIs. That final month was well below 200, but Walt Weiss sticking with him after a slow start this season.
When we saw him last year, he was their best player.
And Walt Weiss was questioned about Rutledge and his playing time. Josh only hit .213 in April. He said, we're going to stick with him, though, because we feel he is part of the future and part of the now. He showed what he could do last year.
The Rockies, despite the last couple of games, still lead the National League in hitting.
Right. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Off the end of the bat. Little squibber that's rolling foul. Dante Bichette, Blake Street Bomber, back in uniform with the Colorado Rockies.
Happened to look at his numbers offensively. Wow. The man could hit.
Yes, he could.
Probably didn't get the recognition he deserved in his career, but a number of years over 300, a couple of times over 330, and the power numbers to back it up.
1-2 pitch to Rutledge. Pulled foul. Bichette played for the Rockies from their inception. That was back in 1993 until 99. 4-time All-Star. And hit over 200 home runs with Colorado. And Bichette and Weiss played together from 94 until 97, so familiarity there. Hooked back up as part of the coaching staff. 2-2.
Weiss wasn't a bad player himself, but more of a glove man. Actually was an all-star one year for the National League in '98 when he was playing with Atlanta. 13, actually 14 years in the big leagues for Walt Weiss, but really much more of a fielder solid player in the middle of the infield, and he stuck around a long time. Rookie of the Year in 1988.
Was under Tony La Russa, finished up with Bobby Cox. We've seen more teams go to managers that don't have that, you know, the experience of being a big league manager. They may have some coaching in their background or have been a special assistant, a scout. But Mike Matheny's part of that. Walt Weiss. Here's a grounder that's hit to short. Kozma makes the play.
Kind of an old saying that the average player makes a better manager. The great player doesn't, because they'll just stand at the batting cage and say, hey, just do what I did. I don't know what I did. I just try it, and it doesn't work that way. And I found that with pitching coaches in general. The better the pitching coach was, the less he was able to help me. But the guy that had to kind of struggle through getting people out with nothing, which was frankly my job and reality.
You were a little better than that.
Well, compared to what we've seen in other places. And to have a Freddie Norman as an example, who was one of my Winter League coaches, help me. And Daryl Knowles, guys that were not hard throwers, those guys helped me the most.
Charlie Blackmon, a 26-year-old, and a swing and a miss. Started this season at AAA Colorado Springs, sitting .336, 3 homers, 21 RBIs.
Played at Georgia Tech, and one of those players that after he signed was able to go back and get his college degree. Good for him.
Many people believe that if you're a former catcher at this level, you may make a better manager because of how you deal with pitching staffs.
I subscribe to that.
Oh, 2. And if you're Walt Weiss, you take a look around, and same with Mike Matheny as a player, who are guys that you really connected with and potentially could coach with. Mabry's been a perfect example of that. Those two are very close in what they do both on and off the field. But you know, Mabry was the kind of guy that, and you were talking about a pitching coach, Mabry was the other way as far as being a guy that, you know, really squeezed everything he had out of his talent.
No doubt, no question about that.
Mike was telling me the other day that it was nearly 6 teams called the Cardinals wanting to give John Mabry the hitting coach's job. That's inside, and it almost hit him.
You know, you play this game a long time, 14, 15 years, as Mabry did, and a couple of things can happen. One, you can say, hey, I loved it, and I'm tired of talking about it. Let me move on to something else. But some guys just love the game so much that it stays with them, and they want to stay with it. We've seen that from veteran players. We may be seeing that from Carlos Beltran this year. His just desire to talk hitting at every turn with a younger player. And it's understandable that you'd play for 20 years and say, okay, I'm ready to move on and go on to something else. And that's okay. But the guys that stay in it love the game, want to teach it, want to pass along what they've learned to somebody else, and they get a real rush out of that. And Jose Oquendo, the classic example.
A 3-2 pitch to Blackmon. Swing and a miss. A strikeout, and that's 4 today already for Jaime Garcia. It's Molina, who is 5 for 8 in his career against De La Rosa. Coming up when we come back. with 8 gallons or more. Receive up to 50% off a pair of tickets. If you'd like to find out more about this great deal, Cardinals.com/Phillips66. No score, bottom of the second. By the way, the Mets will be in town tomorrow night. That is a 6:05 start. We'll have it for you here on Fox Sports Midwest, but if you have tickets, know someone that does, remind them, 6:05, the start time tomorrow night. Yachty, you look up at the stats, he is second overall in hits with 46. He's third in the league in hitting at 351. And the numbers keep on going in the right direction because he's 5 for 8 against Jorge De La Rosa.
Well, you were talking in an early going of this season, Dan, that Yadier Molina is the kind of guy that can just play himself into an MVP of the league type player. And that's before he put any numbers up. Well, now you got a little more backing to that comment. Of course, it's a long season. We've only about 20%, just over 20% through the year. But anything like the pace he's had now, and clearly he's been the most valuable Cardinal.
Here's a 1-1.
And he's the most valuable Cardinal, and the Cardinals are the best team in baseball right now in terms of record at 23-12, winning 9 out of 10. And you got to point to your catcher at some point and say he's the main reason this is happening.
He's calling the games too. You have the best pitching staff in baseball right now. 1-2 pitch. Few teams run against him. He controls the game in that regard too. I mean, it's hard, and I guess we, are biased in the fact that we see him every day, but it's hard to overlook what this guy means to this franchise, day in and day out. I can't think of a more valuable player. There's a high chopper, and Tulowitzki slings it over to first, and there's one away. Brings in David Freese with John Jay to follow.
David Freese, one of those guys talking before the game about how much his mom would kind of take care of all of his baseball scheduling issues, and his dad traveled a bit with work, and just very thankful to his mom's investment in his life and being there and helping him kind of get on track. And a lot of players kind of voicing the same deal, but David very, very grateful to his mom, and growing up here in St. Louis, sure a lot of folks know her, and just part of the reality that these players, we miss sometimes with these players, that their brothers, their cousins, their neighbors, and their sons, and what they do at this level is really a celebration of their whole family, not just them.
Think Freese will ever have to buy dinner in town ever again in his life?
No.
Me neither.
He may want to, but he may not have to.
Here on out, and you'd love to see him start stringing some hits together, maybe a home run or two, but there's a fly ball out to deep right, and the catch is made, but always remembered for what he did in 2011.
That was a good at-bat by David right there as well. That ball hit hard, and he drove that ball. We have a little bit of a breeze blowing out to right, and Blackman, the right fielder, got a good jump on that ball, but David, I'm sure, disappointed in the result, but a good at-bat for him.
Here's John Jay, 2 outs, nobody on. John using that pink bat, had a chance to head to South Florida to John's home this offseason and met mom and dad. Comes from a great family. One that had to defect from Cuba. His grandmother and grandfather, they all lived together for a long time. Just trying to make ends meet. His mother is a school teacher, still is. And very close, tight-knit family.
John's a guy that really appreciates his roots. He's also very connected with all the players that have played at University of Miami. That's kind of part of his heartbeat as well. The fraternity of guys, and so many big league players have come out of that great program, but you see him kind of connecting with those guys on the road and via Twitter He's just a guy that remembers where he came from.
2-1 tapped foul. Gentleman that has run the Boys and Girls Club of Miami for over 40 years said, in his opinion, John Jay is the best that's come through. And he said, I'm not talking baseball players because I've had Hall of Famers come through. He said he's the best person we've had come through. And he's done a lot to try to raise awareness and money for that facility.
For a player to remember where they came from is really a must and something they should do anyway. I'll never forget Lee Thomas, former general manager for the Cardinals, really outstanding baseball guy, telling me in the minor leagues, he says, remember who you meet on the way up because you're going to meet them on the way down too.
Yep. Jay slaps it into left center. Fowler is there. And we played 2. It's De La Rosa, Fowler, and Pacheco coming up. No score on this Mother's Day. Let's welcome into the conversation our buddy Jim Hayes. And Jim, a lot of news concerning Jake Westbrook at the ballpark today.
Yeah, John Mozeliak was saying that Westbrook just wasn't feeling right after his last start in Chicago. They kept an eye on him, decided to put him on the DL. Mozeliak said really precautionary. He said if this were later in the season, Westbrook probably would have pitched through his elbow issue. But he also said that with what's going on with the starting rotation at the major league level and also what's going on with their pitchers at the minor league level, they had so many good options that they figured they'll be cautious with Jake, and so he'll miss a couple starts. And for Gas, as Alok said, it's a great opportunity to come up and pitch on Tuesday.
Jorge De La Rosa is at the plate. Jim, I'll ask you, many combinations could have been used. Why was John Gas the one that stood out for Mo?
They love the way he's pitching at AAA. The numbers don't lie. He's 3-1 with an ERA just over 1. And Mozeliak said they want to reward some of these guys, give them an opportunity to pitch at the big league level. It's not a long-term thing, so they wanted to give them a shot.
Any thoughts taking some of the guys in the bullpen that are there, and that's one hopper to David Freeze, namely a Joe Kelly or even a Carlos Martinez that's been used in the minor leagues recently as a starter, but any thought about moving those guys into the rotation?
Well, Mo said they're feeling pretty good about the bullpen right now, so they don't want to mess with it. And again, since it's a short-term thing, they don't expect Westbrook to miss more than just a couple of starts. They wanted to give an opportunity to a young guy like Gas.
All right, Jim, thanks. We appreciate it. Don't take that lady's sun hat right next to you. Just pull that thing and away you go. There goes Jim Hayes running with his microphone and stealing a mother's floppy sun hat. I could see it. I could see it.
All right, ma'am, could I borrow this? They wanted me to put this on. Is that okay? All right. There you go, Dan. That's for you, okay? Just for you, Dan.
Thank you, Jim.
Making friends everywhere, Jim Hayes.
Jim's on the scene and always digging up the latest and all the scoops.
And that very interesting scoop about not going into the Cardinals bullpen and taking out, let's say, a Joe Kelly or a Carlos Martinez or even a Seth Maness and putting him into your rotation. All guys kind of are part of that mix. Another strikeout for Garcia. That's 5 in the early going.
There's Joe Kelly. Take a look at our Twitter poll for today. I think this is a great question presented by AT&T. What role should Carp have, let's just say, when he returns this season? Because I'm going to be positive and say when. Starter, closer, long reliever. That's our AT&T Twitter poll. And we were talking about this question prior to the news of Jake Westbrook. Carpenter was telling me this past week as Pacheco looks at a strike that, you know, it'd be pretty tough to say, well, I'm back, so put me in the starting rotation. This rotation has been unbelievable. And who knows, with his injury, Rick, maybe it's beneficial for him to have those shorter bursts and also seeing how he responds day after day.
Be interested what Cardinal fans will say about that on our Twitter poll. And you could really make a case for all 3 answers. But I think sometimes the answer is really going to mostly predicated on where the team is at that time and what need do you have at that time. If you were to say right now, you'd say, well, clearly not a need in the starting rotation. Put him in the bullpen as a long reliever and give him a chance to work his way back. And, you know, the closer question, I think, really depends on whether your closer's doing well. And at this point, Mojica getting the job done. So, you know, in my mind, I say put him in the bullpen. Let's just see where it goes. But again, we'll have to wait until that time actually happens where Carp is ready.
MLB.com @bat, the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Play-by-play, all the highlights. Text @bat to 31826. Visit Cardinals.com for details. Brings in a former batting champion, Carlos Gonzalez. The time he won that batting title a couple years ago, he was the 4th youngest to do it. He's now only 26, from Venezuela. And you always look at those splits concerning the Rockies because of Coors Field and what that means. And the splits were pretty eye-popping last year for this young man. Ground ball, and that's a base hit into right. Pacheco on his way to third. Carlos Gonzalez at home, by the way, hit .368 and just .234 on the road a season ago.
A couple of ground ball hits. Rockies now with runners at first and third. We've been conditioned over the last 2 days to think that the Rockies aren't allowed to get any hits. But again, this is a very good ball club. Tough situation here for Garcia facing Tulowitzki. As long as you scatter those hits, you can give up a few. And Garcia, who gave up a double in the first, a double in the second, now 2 hits in the third, still unscored upon, which is really what counts.
Tulowitzki at .323 this year. 28 RBIs. Way out in front. He's been averaging an RBI just about every 3 at-bats. And we saw in that first at-bat from Garcia a lot of changeups to Troy Tulowitzki. More to him than anybody else first time through.
Yeah, and he saw a lot of fastballs from Shelby Miller. And my favorite pitch of this whole series is a 3-1 curveball he saw from Shelby Miller, where Tulowitzki just almost looked in disbelief, like, how am I supposed to hit that pitch? He looked back not to complain to the umpire, but to complain that it was unhittable.
Right. Ooh, good pitch, doesn't get the call. 1-1.
Such a dominating performance for Miller. And you know, Mike Matheny again talking about the differences between Miller, Wainwright, Garcia, all different styles. And the results have been good with all of them, but he likes the fact that there's a different pitcher you're seeing every night. Not the same guy right over the top, right-hander throwing 95. Different kind of best pitch with Wainwright. Of course, it's his curveball. With Miller, the fastball. With Garcia, the sinker. So that can really mess up a lineup when you've got to try to find a way to hit 3 different styles of pitchers back to back to back.
when he stays healthy. Tulowitzki, one of the top shortstops, if not the best in all of baseball. 6'3", 220 pounds. Good range, big arm, hits for power. There's just about everything that you want. Now, last year, 47 games at 287. Year before, it was 143. But the key for the Rockies to have any success is keeping him on the field. He had surgery on a torn groin muscle a year ago.
No question, that's really the only kind of down thing you could say about Tulowitzki, which, you know, would be hard to call his fault. But not being able to get out on the field to play is part of the deal. Part of the value.
2-1 pitch, and he crushes it out to deep left field. Holliday looks up, and this is gone. Troy Tulowitzki finally breaks through for the Rockies, and he does it in a big way. 3-run shot, 3-0 Rockies. Garcia got the first 2 this inning. Then it was a single by Pacheco. Gonzalez reached on a 2-strike hit. And a home run by Tulowitzki, his 8th. He's jumped up to 31 in RBIs.
Ball up in the zone, off-speed pitch from Garcia, and Tulowitzki mentioned has 8 home runs on the season now, and maybe a bit of a wake-up call to the Cardinals that we can't have our pitchers throw up zeros every inning of every game. We've got to get some offense going against De La Rosa.
And a fastball to Rosario.
Although, Dan, with all the talk about the Cardinals starting pitching and how good it's been, the offense is really starting to go in a good direction as well. A lot of guys in the middle of the Cardinals lineup. We've talked about how well they've been hitting with runners in scoring position, but their average is climbing up, the power coming back for Alan Craig. John Jay swinging the bat better. So, you know, the offense has been part of this 9 out of 10 win streak as well.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Rosario swings through it. Tremendous first month of the season, but hitting below 100 here in the month of May. That ends 28 scoreless innings by this Rockies offense. Coming off a series against the Yankees in which they had just a total of 16 hits. Total of 3 in the first 2 games here. But that has changed with 5, including 1 big blast by Troy Tulowitzki. And that's in the dirt, and a walk. So all of a sudden, 4 straight have reached against Jaime Garcia.
Baseball is such a tough game, Dan, to play well consistently. You may play well in spurts, but then you're going to have moments where you just can't get it done offensively or pitching or bullpen, whatever. Look at the Milwaukee Brewers. When we saw the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee, that was not the same team that had won 9 straight games. They were a mess, and they're still a mess. And yet they've shown they can be really, really good, and they've shown that they can't find a way to get anybody out either, and their bullpen's a problem. So it's a tough game. The competition is so good. It's tough to be good over a long period of time without a little bit of a blip now and then.
Arenado at the plate, 2 outs, 1 ball, no strikes. He doubled first time up. Of the 5 hits, 3 have gone for extra bases against Garcia today. Outfield is deep and straight away. The 1-0 pitch. As far as the starting staff is concerned, that's only the 11th home run they have allowed. Now, you touched upon it earlier. Collectively, bullpen starting rotation has not allowed many home runs, but the starters, just about a month and a half into the season, only 11 allowed. That is an astonishing number. 1-1 pitch in the dirt, 2 balls and 1 strike, and Garcia right now is just not locating very well with these pitches.
Yeah, getting that 3rd out. Problem here in the 3rd inning. He got the 2 quick outs. Strikeout of Fowler after the ground ball to the pitcher De La Rosa, and then a couple of ground ball hits. Made a bad pitch, and all of a sudden it starts getting in your head that kind of thing's starting to cave in a bit, and 1 good pitch can change him back into the positive direction again.
One thing that all good teams have to have if you get into postseason play is depth. Rarely, if ever, do you see teams have those same 5 starters the entire year, or a lineup that stays intact as Dante Bichette watching his offense now come alive. And Cardinals have that. They've got some of the best depth in baseball. The check swing.
Well, Jim's report on John Gast calling him up, one of the other things that John Mozeliak said to Jim in that interview was, you know, John Gast may have felt like we kind of passed him up in the last round of call-ups because he certainly was deserving. And so very conscious of the fact that, look, when a player's deserving to get called up, you know, don't hold him down too long. There's the fewest home runs stat, Cardinal staff.
And swung on and missed. A strikeout for Jaime. Number 6 this afternoon, but a 3-run homer by Tulowitzki. Cardinals have to come back today. Mom's influence on your baseball career?
Well, thank you, Kathy, for asking that question. My mom was a huge influence. In fact, I would say she was the kind of athletic one between my mom and dad. My mom would kind of teach me how to play all sports, and there was a time, again, my mom on the right there, I came home, I had an arm injury, and I had to play catch, and I was visiting my parents in New York, and so I needed to throw, and guess who I threw with? I played catch with my mom. Threw a little slider here and there, and she had no problem handling it.
How hard were you throwing?
Some would say my stuff wasn't good enough.
Troy Tulowitzki has made it a 3-run Rockies lead. That's great, though. Mom playing catch.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Here's Pete Kozma.
Pete was saying his mom has been visiting him this week, and she just left today, but she'll be listening to the game driving back to Oklahoma. And he was talking about her influence as well, and just really thankful for her. And he said he's really kind of become like her, his kind of even keel approach. And we've kind of seen that from Kozma. He's just kind of unflappable is the word I keep coming back to with him. He kind of gets that from his mom.
We have not seen any emotion one way or another from Pete Kozma.
No.
That includes last year's postseason. I remember seeing that post-game interview. Had the big hit, and it was almost odd watching him.
I agree with you. It was like he was in shock almost.
Right.
And you're watching him. He's like, shouldn't you be giddy or you know, goofy or excited? And it's like for him to be so calm in the midst of what he just did, it seems like maybe he doesn't even understand the moment. But I think he does. It's just his personality. Very even keel.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
Kind of the way he plays shortstop. He's not a flair shortstop. You know, you think of Ozzie Smith and others that are just been so acrobatic and so, you know, spectacular in terms of their way they play that position, but he's just the steady type.
On 1-2, it's driven into right center field, and the catch is made on the run by Charlie Blackmon.
Ball in the gap. You need to have a little communication between the two outfielders. Who's going to get it? The other one peels off behind. That's Dexter Fowler to back him off or to back him up. And you really, if you get too close to an outfielder, that gets a little scary because those guys, although it doesn't look like it, Dan, they're running hard. They're so graceful. It seems to be that they're jogging, but they're moving and they're running right at another guy who's running at them. So you better communicate with each other.
You talked about it, how Jaime Garcia is able to get outs without the velocity of Shelby Miller or even Adam Wainwright. Garcia's been around 89 to 90 today. Skip Schumacher for the Dodgers the other night came in a mop-up situation and was consistently hitting 90 to 92.
How about that?
Well, we always knew he had a gun, and he's always had that tremendous arm. Slowly hit to the right side, and there's 2 outs.
I firmly believe that Garcia could throw 92, 93 if he wanted to, but he doesn't need to, and he shouldn't, because that actually would straighten his ball out. He's much more effective where he is.
So 2 outs, and it brings in Matt Carpenter. Have to wonder about your former team, Rick Horton, the LA Dodgers, and Don Mattingly. How much longer for him? They finally broke their 8-game losing skid. They're 14-21 and 7 games out in the National League West.
A lot of injuries to their pitching staff in particular. But that is a club with a big payroll, Dan, that's just not performing up to expectations. You look up and down in the National League and you'd say, as of today, most teams are about where you thought they'd be in the standings. I would say in each division except the Dodgers. I'd say they're the one disappointing team. San Francisco atop the West, Atlanta atop the East, no surprise there. Miami struggling, Chicago struggling, we knew that. But the Dodgers in last place in the West, a big surprise.
And also the other team in LA, Angels, the American League, big disappointment at 14-22. They've lost 1 point every series with the exception of 2 this entire season.
Toronto, another team that's not playing up to expectation. They're 10 games below 500, already 9.5 games behind the Yankees.
Yankees have won 4 straight. 1-2 the count on Carpenter. Cardinals still looking for that first base hit. Mike Scioscia, the manager with the Angels. A lot of talk of Tony La Russa, potential replacement if he was to be fired. And again, Tony came out here locally in St. Louis in an article done by Joe Strauss that he denies any interest in any of the jobs. That's off the lip of the grass, and then took a left turn foul. You're Phil Jackson, you're Tony La Russa, you're some of the biggest names in any sport. You're out of the game, you're always going to be rumored to be coming back with some team in some situation.
And I can categorically say there's no truth to the rumor that Tony La Russa is going to coach the Lakers. That's definitely not going to happen.
It's out.
Just take that right off the table right now. And, you know, it's unfortunate that it's not really fair to a guy like Mike Scioscia, although it's part of the deal. Your team loses. But that when you have specific names being brought up and they have to make a comment about it, yes or no, about whether or not they're interested or not, it's just really uncomfortable, let's put it that way. And it's uncomfortable for the players to realize that, you know, is my manager a lame duck right now? Is he going to be around next week or next month or tomorrow? Well, Mike Scioscia is such a good baseball man. Very well respected.
Walk to Carpenter. Second time that Matt has drawn a walk. And he's been the only base runner of the day for the St. Louis Cardinals.
There's the kind of the herky-jerky stop motion almost from De La Rosa, and he misses the outside corner. The Cardinals and Jaime Garcia gave up 3 runs after 2 were out at the top of this inning, and maybe the Cardinals can get something going here in the bottom of the inning with 2 outs.
I don't know about you. I am a believer, though, that a situation on both sides can grow stale. And
yeah,
I don't know what that number is in terms of years, if it's 15 or 20 or 10, but sometimes the message falls on deaf ears, and that can't happen.
It gets less stale when the players turn over quicker, because you get different people hearing that message. So in the case of the Angels, maybe too many guys have been around there for too long together, although certainly some of their marquee players are new. But it's certainly a possibility, what you're saying, that you just kind of needed to hear a new voice. And that's true of coaching in general and teaching. You know, a good teacher understands that, you know, I may need to get a new voice into this into my pupil's head, because maybe they're only hearing half of what I'm saying.
Sure. 1 ball, 1 strike on Beltran, and he pops it up to the right side. Second baseman wants it, calls off his first baseman. That's Rutledge who makes the play. 3-0 after 3 on this Mother's Day at Busch. The Rocky Mountain High, and the difference of playing at home, especially when you think about the game of baseball, but even in the other professional sports, just getting accustomed to, you know, breathing up there and running and all the different things that it takes. And by the way, Rick, Walt Weiss said first thing when he was named manager, he said, I don't care about the humidor. We have the greatest home field advantage, not just in baseball, but in all of sports. There is no reason why we should dominate at home.
So you press it. Yeah, you have to take advantage of it. It's just like, you know, it's raining today, or the sun's out, or it's cold, or it's hot. You know, if you can turn that into an advantage for you, and certainly the Rockies have done that over time. Tough to play there. I think teams have found it tough to play in St. Louis in August. We've heard that for many years, how hot it can get here, so make it an advantage for you. And there is something to that when you're in Colorado. I played for a Denver team in AAA on the way down, and it was there for about 6 weeks in 1990. And it is tough to get used to kind of breathing and the cadence of your breathing when you're pitching, because the altitude affects you. And you see it affect guys that come into town. And again, if you're used to it, they're not. Should be an advantage.
Rutledge grounds out, and now it's Charlie Blackmon who struck out swinging back in the second. Garcia has struck out 6 this afternoon. 2 balls and no strikes. Had a tweet last night, Rick. I said, well, you only have to follow 27 straight from Shelby, a near no-hitter from Wainwright. No biggie. Go get him if you're Jaime Garcia.
Tough act to follow, no question. But if Garcia can settle down here and kind of just get past that 3-run third inning and pitch 6-7 innings, give up 3 runs, that's a good start. It's a quality start. And you know, you aim for perfection. Always should aim for that. Expect it. I think if most pitchers come to the ballpark expecting to get 27 straight outs. That's how you have to start and then adjust when it doesn't happen.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. 3-2. Again, John Gast will make the start Tuesday night in place of Jake Westbrook, put on the 15-day disabled list with a inflamed right elbow. So the Cardinals rewarding one of their young pitchers that's off to a good start. There's a strikeout. Already number 7 today for Jaime Garcia. Along with Rick Horton, Jim Hayes, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Hope you're enjoying your Mother's Day wherever you may be. Here at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals trail 3-0. A 3-run homer by Troy Tulowitzki back in the 3rd.
And a really special Mother's Day greeting from the Cardinal manager Mike Matheny. Talked to Mike before the game, and he wanted to certainly reach out to his mom. But Mike also said that he wanted to make sure we gave a special Mother's Day greeting to his grandmother, who lives in Leon, West Virginia, and her name is Luella Kiefer, and she follows Cardinal baseball, watches them all. She's 90 years old, 6-time cancer survivor, and Mike wanted her to know that she's an incredible woman. She appreciates her being a great Cardinal fan, and a big, big happy Mother's Day to her.
David Freeze. That is on Saturday, May 18th. And a week from today, it's High Socks Sunday. Look at those beautiful high socks. And you have a chance to take those home. Kids will be wearing them, bouncing all over the place. High Socks Sunday, that'll be next Sunday. And good seats still available. Milwaukee in town beginning on Friday night. Matt Holliday struck out his first time up, the only strikeout for De La Rosa thus far. Back in 2007, Matt Holliday was part of that great run for the Rockies to get to the postseason, and a lot of turnover for Colorado since that time. They have 3 of the players that were on that 25-man roster still with them. Todd Helton will be 40 in August. Troy Tulowitzki and starter Jeff Francis. Rockies won 13 of their final 14. Forced a one-game play-in with San Diego. It's known as Rocktober in Denver, Colorado. They defeated San Diego in 13 innings. You might remember that. They scored 3 runs off of Trevor Hoffman. Holiday, a big part of that winning slide. They swept Philadelphia in the division series, swept Arizona. So that was 21 of 22 that they had won going into the World Series. Holiday lines it to his former teammate Tulowitzki.
He almost didn't want to catch that ball. Do I have to catch it? Ball's hit too hard. Still in disbelief. Not rubbing it, to his credit. Maybe he's saying something now to De La Rosa like, let's not do that again.
A Hyundai replay, one away, and it brings in Craig.
It was a rocket right there.
It was.
And you mentioned Holiday was a big part of that run for the Rockies that year. He was the MVP of the NLCS that year. And the Red Sox were just a little bit better in the World Series.
Here's Alan Craig. Looks at a strike. There's a little bit of that St. Louis flavor in the bullpen for the Rockies. Outman, who pitched the other night, a lefty, is from the area. Attended Lindbergh High School and Forest Park Community College, also Central Missouri State. Now pitching for the Rockies out of their pen. You'd have to thank a lot of family and friends on Mother's Day in attendance here at the ballpark for the Outmans. Oh, 2 on Craig with 1 down, nobody on. Cardinals, no base hits. Turnaround is fair play, right? Breaking ball catches the outside corner.
It's fair, it's just not as fun.
You bet.
Backdoor breaking ball. Thought it would be high and away. Just barely catches the top part of the strike zone. Not the location he was looking for. I wouldn't even call it a sharp pitch from De La Rosa, but it got a good result. Fooled Alan Craig. You mentioned just 2 strikeouts for the left-hander. And again, very interesting delivery. Kind of starts, stops, and starts again. Almost like a built-in changeup to his delivery. Stops, and then he goes.
And Yachty hits it out to deep center field. Fowler is back on the track and makes the catch. De La Rosa, 1-2-3 inning. There's the slide. One of the historic plays in franchise history for the Rockies. The 2 lefties, De La Rosa and Garcia. Jorge at 93 and Jaime at 90. The Charter high-speed pitch of the days.
About what you'd expect from Garcia and De La Rosa. Cardinals still trying to find some offense here against the left-hander. And Garcia, really, Dan, has been good except for 3 hitters in a row. Other than that, it's all been good. Rocky's able to string across those 3 runs in the 3rd inning. The Tulowitzki home run, obviously the big blow in this game, 3-run shot. He now has 31 RBIs on the season.
Leadoff man Dexter Fowler, the switch hitter.
When he first came up, Dan, Fowler was one of those kind of can't miss guys, just a ton of talent, had a lot of speed, had a lot of triples his first year, and was just an exciting player. Didn't think home runs would be part of his deal. He has 8 already on the season, but just very, very athletic, and you had a sense that maybe he could be pitched to. If you made a good pitch to him, maybe a good curveball, something that was nasty that he couldn't handle it because he kind of went into a tailspin. And he's been a streaky guy too, but maybe he's found a little bit more normalcy.
Can also do that. He can run.
Yes, he can.
The other thing that stands out about him, he was drafted, Fowler was 14th round of 2004, and you see him trot off the field here. He's long, he's lanky, he can run, but he only weighed $145 when they drafted him. I mean, think about that body at $145, and now he's near 200 pounds. So he's grown into the body and put on some muscle and turned into a very nice player.
Really graceful center fielder, too,
yes,
that we've seen so far in this series.
Here's Pacheco at first base today. And he takes a strike on the outside corner. Well, the bullpen has not been used. It's been a place out there that only a couple of guys have gotten up in this series to throw as just an emergency spot. 9th inning for Wainwright or Shelby Miller, more so for Miller. He's on a shorter leash, but couple that with the off day, there's some guys out there that need work.
One thing has changed in this game. You won't find players that will actually do mound work before a game as we used to do in the 80s and prior to that, and sometimes in the 90s. There were teams that believed that if you hadn't pitched for a while, you needed to get a bullpen.
Nice play by Carpenter.
So it would be a scheduled bullpen about 3 o'clock in the afternoon where you'd throw maybe 5 minutes, and you could still pitch that night, but you had to get some work in. So now the trick is for the Cardinal bullpen, how do you get some semblance of timing and feel for your pitches? Hyundai replay of the backhand by Carpenter.
I guess the question is, why did they stop? Why did they stop doing that?
Well,
off the mound.
There were some teams even then that said, in fact, there were some, the White Sox wouldn't do it, the Cardinals would. I think there were teams that didn't believe in it then, or were starting to think that maybe that was too taxing on a reliever to throw at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then still be ready at 8 o'clock that night.
Carlos Gonzalez, a base hit into right. His second hit, he's 2 for 3.
So you're balancing, Dan, always the feel for pitching versus the rest that you need.
A 2-out hit. Say good morning to the new Egg White Delight McMuffin. 8 grams of whole grain and just 250 calories, only at McDonald's. Troy Tulowitzki. 3 things you need to know. Turn an unassisted triple play in 07. That was his rookie season. Most games played at short. And he also owns a couple of dogs named Ripken and Rawlings. Now, Cal Ripken really was the first of the bigger bodied shortstops, and now Tulowitzki is kind of the poster child for that around Major League Baseball.
And you almost can't find the kind of guy that you used to have play shortstop, which is a guy that would hit 220, kind of a speedster and not much of a hitter, probably maybe a switch hitter, but just a magician with the glove, really quick, all glove. I mean, I think of Mark Belanger as that kind of guy, not a switch hitter, but he was just such a smooth shortstop and one of the best in the game playing for the Orioles, and kind of pre-Ripken. But then Ripken just totally changed the mentality about that position.
Freeze across the diamond to get a force play. So Tulowitzki is 1 for 3. Come on home. The Cardinals need that too. Rockies on top. Mrs. Fred Bird celebrating Mother's Day with her son. And we say happy Mother's Day to our buddy Jim Hayes. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Dan. You know, I was talking to Adam Wainwright before the game about Chris Carpenter's comeback and how it's gained steam. He said he's not surprised. He was continually pointing out to the media it's not his rotation because Carpenter's still around. He jokingly said Carpenter's the kind of pitcher you could cut off his arm and he'll still find a way to get guys out. He said he'd put the ball on his shoulder and flick it and would still have some sink or some cut to it, so he's not at all surprised.
Here's David Freese. And Jim, what's the next step right now for Carpenter? I know either tomorrow or Tuesday is a pretty big day for him.
He said by the end of the homestand he would have a better handle on what's next. But, you know, he was out there shagging fly balls with his teammates today, and he seems to be every day more and more part of the team. And you can see when he's around, there's a little extra jump from the guys on the pitching staff.
And it seems like, and here's an 0-1 pitch to David Freese, that the likeliest of roles, and again, it's not been defined yet, but if he's healthy enough to pitch and pitch on back-to-back days, they'd probably find a spot for him more so in the bullpen than maybe the rotation.
Carpenter was quick to point out that he wants to do whatever he can to help the team. He said John Mozeliak said probably the best spot for him would be in the bullpen. I would say that makes a lot of sense, but Carpenter says whatever role they need him to fill, that's what he wants to do. He just has that drive to pitch, and he's tired of just hanging around and not helping the ball club because that's what he wants to do.
All right, Jim, thanks. Now, Carpenter is on the 60-day DL, and they're going to put Mott on the 60-day DL, and that'll allow Gas to be promoted, and that's taken just a bit low, and the check swing did not go. So we'll see John Gast on Tuesday night here at Busch Stadium.
And honestly, the biggest role that Chris Carpenter will fill is just being Chris Carpenter.
What do you think that would do for some of the guys like a Carlos Martinez, Seth Maness, or Joe Kelly out there in the bullpen if he's there?
Well, it's only going to help their maturation. And a couple of those guys you mentioned, Maness and Martinez, are future starters. And at some point, they'll probably get that chance to be a starter in the big leagues. You would expect both those guys. And so Carpenter would not only be able to help him with kind of where they are right now, but just for future understanding of how do you attack a hitter and how do you set them up and how do you play the game right, how do you prepare correctly. Preparation is such an important part of this business. It's not just what we see in the 3 hours we're here at the ballpark.
And on the hands of Freese and a strikeout. The third strikeout for De La Rosa. It's part of our Twitter poll and our question presented by AT&T. Well, the fans say if he's healthy enough, why not close? Now, there's a pretty good one out there right now, a guy that's done the job. So it's a situation, though, that's always fluid when you talk about bullpens in the big leagues.
It's the word I was going to say. And really, teams in general are fluid in terms of what the needs are. And it's so hard to imagine this right now, Dan. I mean, it's just impossible to imagine this. But we may have a time, just maybe, I'm not predicting it, but it may be 6 weeks down the road where we'll say, you know what, our offense is so good. We're scoring 10 runs a game. And our bullpens, we just can't get starting pitching. We're having a hard time with our starting pitching, and we need a break. I mean, it just ebbs and flows. So what will the situation be when Chris Carpenter enters the picture? To me, that's the key question.
And GMs will tell you the hardest thing to do year after year is to try to have a handle on their bullpen. Just because one player has success in 2012, it doesn't necessarily translate to 2013. And see you later, John Jay. 3 pitches, goodbye. Mitchell Boggs, case in point. Mark Zipchinski. And I still think those two guys will have a prominent role before it's all said and done.
I agree with that. Both of them pitching well in 7th and 8th inning roles in AAA at this point. It's kind of like, tinkering with an old car. Just trying to get it to run well, and then you got to fix this thing, then you fix that thing, and then you realize this other thing is broken, and you got to get it all kind of working together at once to get it humming, and it's just not that easy to do.
De La Rosa pumping strikes. 2 outs, back-to-back Ks. Here is Pete Kozma. Cardinals held hitless thus far. Really nothing fancy right now about Jorge De La Rosa.
You know, the only thing that you see from him, again, we've talked about it, is kind of the stop and start motion, which I think can be something that affects timing. The hitter's kind of thinking, okay, when a guy starts his motion, now I got to start getting ready. But no, he hasn't really started his motion yet. He's starting it, then he's stopping, then he starts again. And so much of hitting is timing. A delivery like De La Rosa can certainly mess that up.
Seen him before. He's been with Milwaukee, Kansas City, now with Colorado. Began his Rockies career in 2008.
4-3 lifetime against St. Louis.
2-2. Mets will be in town tomorrow night again. 6:05 with that first pitch. And no Matt Harvey. Cardinals face the Mets for 4 games and they miss Harvey.
I know folks want to watch him pitch, and I say I'm still okay with that. Watch him on TV.
Yeah, if I'm a Cardinals hitter, I'm saying no problem watching him after he leaves St. Louis. Saw him at spring training a couple times, and you can see why the Mets are so excited about him. And he's had comparisons to Dwight Gooden, and he is off to a tremendous start in his second year.
Pirates and Matt Harvey battling today. 2-2 the score there. He's gone 7 innings, given up just 5 hits, and that's basically been his story every time out this year. Very low hit games, a lot of strikeouts.
Matter of fact, Rick, that's now winless in his last 4 starts. Matt Harvey with an ERA of 1.98 in that time, but no wins. John Mozeliak talked about it in our interview with him in the booth the other night. He said one of the points of bringing up a John Gast or some of the others, Seth Maness, is to show these minor leaguers that if you put in the work, we are watching. If you're a hot bat, we're going to bring you up. Pitching well, we're going to bring you up. And certainly Gast gets that call, the good start that he has had, but also, you know, how about Michael Wacha? Wacha has been fantastic for the Memphis Redbirds. He's now 4-1. Excuse me, 4-0 with a 1.99 ERA. Oscar Taveras leading their club in RBIs. Colton Wong hitting 293. So these guys just keep on coming.
Brian Jackson's having a nice year offensively with Memphis. And they're winning. Last I saw, they were top of the division. Springfield was leading theirs. And that's another thing that John Vooch and his staff really believe in is we'd like to have them win. They keep mentioning about Taveras in particular, that he's played 3 years in the minor leagues and he's won 3 championships. Now, not him alone, but he's had that experience. So you get to the big leagues, and you're not just happy just to be in the big leagues. You're all about winning and trying to play in October.
1 ball and 2 strikes. And Taveras is playing center field. Natural right fielder, but learning the position of center while at AAA. Well, this time last year, the Rockies were thinking about doing that 11-man rotation, and then they did it. They called it the 11-man rotation, even though there were guys in their bullpen really out of the box thinking, and it didn't work. Scrap that idea. The Hyundai replay as De La Rosa strikes out the side. Happy Mother's Day. Really wanted to be a nice Mother's Day for Mom. You keep the kid at home with Dad. Give Mom the ticket, some cash. Go enjoy yourself at the ballpark.
Mom's everywhere loving you right now.
Head and Shoulders, the whiff package.
7 of them for Jaime Garcia, and he's done it a lot of different ways, breaking pitches as well as off-speed pitches. He's used that changeup well, and he's gotten a couple on fastballs too. A lot of movement from Jaime Garcia. The strikeouts up, and right now De La Rosa has been unhittable literally here this afternoon. We wanted to see a no-hitter this weekend, and guess what's going on here this afternoon?
Here's Rosario, and he looks at a ball. So I know you're a big Rick into jinxing.
That's why I want everybody that believes in that superstitious. I want you to call all your friends and say that Jorge De La Rosa has a no-hitter going.
Like you just did.
I just said it.
So now the Cardinals will get some hits. There's a high chopper. Cosma stayed back on it, and he makes the play. That's when you know who is at the plate and who's running.
He's been very smart about that. You try to get the right hop. That's part of being an infielder, is if you charge and get the half hop, you turn it into a tough play. And Cosma doesn't do that very often. You charge and make the half hop when you know that's the only way to get the runner at first base. And actually where you're positioned defensively to begin with has to do with your knowledge of their speed.
Arenado, base hit out to left. 1 out hit.
So Cosma, Dan, that last ground ball, you don't have a lot of time to think about. You have to react right away. You already in your mind know how fast the runner is. It's a high chopper. I could charge it, get the half hop, but if I stay here, I'll get it about chest high. And that's what he does. And able to throw out. Rosario doesn't run well with plenty of time to spare. Rosario okay running, but not. If it's Dexter Fowler, you have to approach that ball different.
Here is Rutledge. And Jaime, this season, majority of his outs have been on the ground ball. And today we've seen a few pitches up. He's given up 2 doubles, the 3-run homer. And as you mentioned, strikeouts have been up with 7. He'd love that ground ball here and get the double play. I think maybe in the first inning of every game, I should just give you just a hard punch right in the gut. That'll be our new superstition until the Cardinals get a hit every inning.
Can we talk about that?
Start something different. That would be different.
As long as I'm allowed to add on to it. My own part of that superstition.
I'll leave that for you and Al. You guys are here together.
No, I want a little retaliation there. Garcia, Dan, I started to say with the move to first base makes me think of John Gast, who we mentioned earlier, coming to the Cardinals to make that first start on Tuesday. The first thing anybody says about John Gast, who's seen him pitch, is his pickoff move. Just an extraordinary weapon for him. He's a lot more than that, and you can't have an ERA about 1 and win every time out by just having a good pickoff move, but it's certainly a weapon.
Tried to work with Garcia and show his move to him in spring training.
And that's a tough thing. And there were times where I was asked to do that with guys, but when you have a different delivery to the plate and a different way of bringing your front knee up for a left-hander, you can't always do it the same exact way. And you really rather have your move come off your delivery than make your delivery come off your move, because then you're throwing the ball to home plate in a way that's less productive.
I think the best move modern day right now, Andy Pettitte, still pitching for the Yankees. Great move. We saw him with Houston all those years. How about for you?
Remember Terry Mulholland?
Oh yeah.
Who he used to do the step off and throw from the hip, which is also difficult to do.
There's a fly ball out to right. Tracking it, Beltran makes the catch. Runner tags up. Caught Beltran flat-footed. Smart play, tagging up Arenado, and he slid right past the bag, but still in there safely.
Heads up base running by Arenado. as he knew that Beltran had to go a long way to get that, was going to throw it flat-footed, and there's him sliding past the bag, but hanging on.
Think of your former teammate, Vince Coleman, how hard he would go into the bag at second so many times, and as he had to go by, he'd grab it with that left hand.
Yeah. I think of Lou Brock as a guy that went in hard. He had some late slides.
You bet. Maybe none more vicious than Hal McRae.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking up double plays.
Lonnie Smith was pretty good.
Bruce Hurst talking about pickoff moves, going back to that.
Red Sox. I'll never forget the time I came out of a game in Pittsburgh and people had been talking about my move, and I gave up some hits. Then the inning was over. I go into the clubhouse, and Jim Rooker's the broadcaster, and he says, "That Horton, back to action. That Horton has with the best move, voted the best move in the National League, and with as many hits as he gives up, he better have that." So I remember the compliment / insult going on in the same sentence.
You know, it's amazing is that it's always nice that guys now never get upset with what the broadcasters say.
Oh, it still happens. It still happens. There's no question. Players try to have as thick a skin as possible, but there's certainly a human element to it.
Well hit, right center. Jay on the move. Looks up, and it's gone. A 2-run homer for Blackman. His first hit, and it's a 2-run shot and a 5-run Rockies lead.
The swing of Blackman. Both home runs coming with 2 outs in this game. That one into the front row. Tulowitzki and Blackman really the difference in this game.
Jorge De La Rosa with 2 outs and nobody on. Little chopper. Carpenter makes the play. Pair of home runs for the Rockies today against Garcia. Tulowitzki a 3-run shot. Blackman 2-run homer. 5-0 lead. Cardinals, Fox Sports, and the state of Missouri teaming up to help you stop smoking. For more information, call the Quit line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW. There's Blackman moments ago, the 2-run homer, and the pitching staff the last 2 seasons. The numbers just eye-popping. They were trying to do anything they could to get outs from just about anyone they could find, but it's been improved here in 2013.
I think De La Rosa is part of that. He was a guy that was a kind of a key member of their staff. We mentioned in 2009 and how good it was. Their rotation was outstanding from top to bottom. And then they had injuries and got rid of some players, and they're just trying to remake it again. And he's been steady. Hasn't been spectacular, but he's been steady. ERA in the mid-3s, but today he's been a lot better than that.
What have you seen from him that's been in that spectacular category? No hits allowed, as Carpenter's been the only base runner for St. Louis with the exception of Cosma.
Well, that's the spectacular point, is his results. In terms of what he's throwing, nothing eye-popping. He has a good breaking pitch. He's been around the plate for the most part. Only the 2 walks, or 3 walks now, because he walked Cosma in the 5th, but really has been in command. Likes to use his breaking ball, and he uses it when he's behind too.
Carpenter hits it sharply to second, and that's the first out. Fox Sports proud to partner with Johns Hopkins Medicine, one of this year's Fox Sports supports charities. Johns Hopkins is the forefront leader, the groundbreaking research. If you'd like to find out more, hopkinsmedicine.org/Fox.
And they play lacrosse well too at Johns Hopkins. Always one of the best.
Beltran, a swing and a miss.
Did I mention the Cardinals don't have a hit yet?
Yes, you have. Such a tough season for the Rockies. Jim Tracy walked away from this job, and nearly $2 million in doing so. Off-speed pitch out in front, nothing in 2. Remember, they had that, they called it an 11-man rotation. 75 pitch limit. Idea was to have the starters become more effective and durable. And yet when they broke it all down, at one point the ERA was close to 9 with those starters. And Beltran strikes out. Strikeout number 6. What's on tap, brought to you by Budweiser. Rick and Al will have the call for you tomorrow. Again, the start time here on Fox Sports Midwest is at 5:30. Budweiser, what's on tap, and a chance to see one of the game's best third basemen, and David Wright. 2 outs, nobody on, and a quiet crowd here at Busch Stadium as Matt Holliday digs in. Hit a screamer last time up to his former teammate Tulowitzki at short.
Dan, you and I were having a hard time understanding why the crowd was going so crazy a couple of times during the day, and one was right after the home run that Charlie Blackmon hit. But I think the crowd is just particularly enamored with Fred Bird today, because he's in rare form, working just beyond the Rockies dugout down the third base line. He's got everybody excited down there, and I think that's what was going on when they were cheering after the Rockies home run. He's trying to jinx the pitcher as we speak. There's Fred. Oh, the moms love him, and the kids.
Two and two.
Holliday hit a blistering line drive in that last at bat to Tulowitzki.
Yeah, you left the booth, and we had a dance-off between Fred Bird and what I'm assuming is Fred Bird dressed up as his mom. So Mrs. Fred Bird was here, and a dance-off in center field, and the crowd went crazy. Absolutely nuts, bonkers, unbelievable. They went wild. They couldn't control themselves.
Any more adjectives?
Yes. Oh, he's back.
There he is.
That's what happens when the Cardinals don't hit. The 3-2 is tapped foul. Big happy birthday to Bernie Federko, Foam Lake, Saskatchewan. Hall of Famer, one of the Blues all-time greats. Member of our staff at Fox Sports Midwest. You won't find a better guy.
Dan, I haven't had a chance to congratulate the Blues on a great season, and certainly didn't end as they had hoped it would, and Kings were the better team in the series, although the Blues played so well in that series. They played hard and just really a lot of thrills all season long.
On the outside corner, strikeout, 2 in the inning, back-to-back. That's 7 for De La Rosa. The new Cardinals alternate logo, courtesy of US Cellular, the official wireless provider of the Cardinals. 25,000 fans 16 and older receive the adult cap. And that's coming up Friday when the Cardinals take on the Brewers. Visit cardinals.com/promotions. It's the spikes worn by the new pitcher for St. Louis, Joe Kelly.
I saw him wearing those in the clubhouse today, and I was kind of thinking he was going to wear them for batting practice. Maybe pregame warm-ups. Was not thinking they would actually make the mound today. But Joe Kelly wearing the pink shoes. Hasn't had a lot of work, especially of late. 10 appearances. Got roughed up early on, but I think Joe Kelly still an important part of this Cardinals bullpen going forward, because he's the kind of guy that can be flexible. He can work in jam situations. He can get strikeouts. He can throw multiple innings, and the results haven't been there yet, but I'm kind of a firm believer in Joe Kelly. I think he's the guy you want to have around, and he really fills that long man's role out of the bullpen. I think you need to have somebody that can go multiple innings.
Off-speed pitch to Dexter Fowler underway here in the 7th inning. Jaime Garcia, 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, all were earned. Walked 1, 7 strikeouts. 2 pitches I'm sure he'd love to have back. One was hit by Tulowitzki for a 3-run homer, and the other was Blackman, a 2-run homer. Jorge De La Rosa has taken a no-hit bid into the 7th inning. His strikeout total is at 7. Rockies lead it 5-0 as Kelly delivers a fastball outside, and it's 2-1.
So you're standing at the plate. How do you not focus on those pink shoes if you're a hitter? Isn't this a distraction right about now?
By the way, we do have an answer to our question about Charlie Blackmon, who received a very nice round of applause when he first was introduced. That was in the second inning, his first at bat. And then with his home run, we saw a number of the fans standing and applauding Blackmon. And you and I were trying to figure it out. He's not from St. Louis. He's from Texas. He's been in the big leagues before.
Went to Georgia Tech.
Right. And it was just a mistake. He was announced as making his major league debut. So that's why you heard many of the fans here at the ballpark.
And I thought it was Fred Bird.
And think about that, to their credit, thinking, well, this is his major league debut. Let's give a nice round of applause. Then he hits a home run. They do it again, and their team is down by 5 runs. Here's a 3-2 pitch, and he chases a ball outside. Strikeout for Kelly to start his afternoon.
Well, you talk about the movement of Jaime Garcia. The ball just running very well for Joe Kelly as well today. Pitch on the outside half and just takes off. And Fowler started his swing and couldn't stop.
Pacheco hitting .316 and a fastball and a strike.
A number of Cardinal players, Dan tweeted today, Happy Mother's Day, not only to their own moms, who I guess your mom has to follow you on Twitter. I don't know if that always works, but they were also, of course, all the Cardinal fans wishing everybody a happy Mother's Day today. And you know, this day we also know is a melancholy day for some who've lost their moms and lost their grandmothers, and so we recognize that as well, that certainly a day filled with emotion. As well as Breast Cancer Awareness Day, which I think has been an outstanding tie that Major League Baseball has kind of brought to Mother's Day. And
that's how it all started, wearing the pink.
And all the players wearing the pink. I just think it's an outstanding tradition. Dan, I think of my grandmother who's passed, and actually she passed during the 1985 World Series and was a huge Cardinal fan, and saw Stan Musial play in a World Series game in New York and became an instant Cardinal fan because of Stan Musial. And as a kid, all my extended family in New York were Cardinal fans because of my grandmother's influence and the influence of Stan Musial. So I think of her on Mother's Day quite a bit. And she, before she passed during the series in '85, was able to send her a photo of Stan and Red Schoendienst and I sitting in the Cardinal dugout, which is a pretty cool moment.
Wristbands, and saw that logo fly that was on your screen. Joe Kelly is wearing that pin above the birds on the bat. And since Wednesday, relievers, not a lot of work, and really since Subchinski and Boggs have been sent down, the bullpen has not been the topic of discussion. That has started to settle down, and the stats show that too. Two balls and 2 strikes. Outfield is straight away, not very deep for Jordan Pacheco. Cardinals will have Craig, Molina, and Freeze due up. Still looking for that first base hit. A 5-run lead for the Rockies. Off speed pitch is pulled foul. I think a lot of people pointed to Joe Kelly being the favorite to win the battle of the 3 going into spring training of Kelly, Rosenthal, and Miller, but it's all worked out, I think, for all 3.
Certainly has for Miller being the right choice, hasn't it?
You bet. Hit to the right side, and Kelly covering the bag, 2 away.
Carlos Gonzalez, a tough guy to handle. We're going to show you his 3 at-bats today. Early on, the strikeout from Jaime Garcia, lost his bat in the 3rd inning. This is a base hit with 2 outs and 1 runner aboard that leads to a 3-run Rocky 3rd. And with 2 outs in the 5th, another base hit for Carlos Gonzalez, a very, very good hitter. We mentioned he hits left-handers well. His first at bat here against the Cardinal reliever Joe Kelly, working the 7th.
Gonzalez obtained in the Holiday deal from Oakland in 2008. He was also part of another big deal that people, especially I think us, forget because it was involving Holiday, but he signed as a 17-year-old with Arizona, then traded to Oakland in the Danny Herron deal. 1 ball, 1 strike. Been a lot of talk about trying to find his consistency at the plate. Carney Lansford, his former hitting coach, really worked on his leg kick for a while and how they approach that, the high leg kick. Sometimes he would be too late on a swing, not being able to get it back down. Almost jam himself too because he's picking that up and committed.
Not every player can do that. Matt Holliday is a guy that has a big leg kick. He's able to keep his hands back. And that's really the key. You just don't want to get out in front with all of your body and then have your hands drag along with it. And the other thing you have to be careful about is not too much head movement. Anything that you do with your lower half that causes your head to move, if your head moves, guess what? You don't see the ball very well.
Gonzalez talked about that first All-Star game being so important to him, and he's won a Silver Slugger and batting championship, but he said the All-Star game was important because he should have gone in 2010, but Charlie Manuel thought he had to take a utility man, and he took Omar Infante instead of Carlos Gonzalez. Brings in Tulowitzki. Well, you've known for years that StubHub is a great place to find seats you want to watch the Cardinals, both home and road. So head to StubHub and get your Cardinals tickets today. Happy birthday to Patrick Mooney. Young man from Chaminade. I'm sure he's enjoying Cardinal baseball today. Happy birthday to Patrick. 2 outs and a runner at first. Fastball and a strike at 95 from Joe Kelly. No questioning his arm. I mean, it's a live arm out there with Kelly.
He has a little bit different delivery than some of the other hard throwers out of the bullpen who are more straight over the top. And you think of Rosenthal, of course, Shelby Miller the same way in the rotation, but he kind of a little bit more of a sidewinder, a little bit more of a low 3/4 delivery from Kelly. Now, I would think it'd be hard to pick the baseball up out of his hand. Kind of halfway maybe between Mitchell Boggs and Rosenthal in terms of release point. So he's got a little bit of the movement of a Boggs, but also the velocity really all 3 of them have to be able to throw in the high 90s. Time I see Joe Kelly pitch, I think of him coming up as a rookie and having in the media guide that he is related to Machine Gun Kelly, and then telling us later that he had made that up.
Kind of sums him up, though. He's a
sure does.
Funny guy, free spirit. Tulowitzki flies to center. What do you say we stretch and then come back with some hits and runs? Good work by Kelly. 5-0 Rockies. Move to the home half of the 7th. Jorge De La Rosa has been the story today. No hits allowed. And yesterday, around this territory, we started thinking, well, could Adam Wainwright do it? Matt Carpenter comes up with this play. You're thinking, all right, this is his day. It's going to happen. Even Wainwright indicated later that he thought this might be his day, but then that pitch turned out to be a base hit. The no-hit bid was through, but Wainwright finished off the game.
Yeah, he said, and Carpenter said, that they really felt like it was going to be his day. Both used the same terminology, and my thought after the game was, you know what, it was still his day. I mean, it wasn't the day that he had envisioned about halfway through that he might throw a no-hitter, but man, it was definitely Adam Wainwright's day. He was terrific.
Here is Alan Craig, and a big sweeping breaking ball in for strike 1. Well, Craig has been called out on strikes. That was back in the 4th, and also flied out to center. De La Rosa with 7 strikeouts. Craig, a fly ball into right. A reminder, we have college nights coming up. And with that, you get a free Cardinals tank top. Next college night is tomorrow. Cards and Mets. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com. It's Lance Lynn and Jeremy Hefner. And again, that start tomorrow is at 6:05, the first pitch. And 5:30 will come your way. Over 40,000 here today, and not much to cheer about. Cardinals still looking for that first base hit. Pulled foul by Molina.
This would be a guy you might think would be the type guy that would break up a no-hitter, and Yadier Molina has been swinging the bat so well of late. He's 0 for 2 here today, but we mentioned at the top that he's 5 for 8 in his career against De La Rosa, and he just seems so locked in. He's so relaxed at the plate. Kind of like it, you know, I likened him yesterday, Dan, to a cat. He was just kind of coiled up and just really relaxed, and then he just pounces when the ball's on its way to the plate, and not really a nervous bone in his body right here in the way he approaches his batting style.
So Yadi is like Jim Hayes.
The cat, that's right. Don't tell him that.
Ready to pounce on any story.
Is that why we call him the cat?
I have no idea how he got that nickname. I'm not sure I want to find out how he got it. As Yadi lifts it out to left, Gonzalez makes the catch. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. You can see even the pressure on the fielders. I mean, Carlos Gonzalez is as smooth as they come, and on that play, not that there was doubt.
No, there was some tentative movements.
Right.
There's no question, and I think you realize that the importance of the moment here for De La Rosa, and for you potentially as the guy that might make a great play to help your pitcher out. And you know, you still got to want the ball to be hit to you. That's the way you have to approach playing defense.
And it's hit hard off the glove of the first baseman. Decision time coming up for the official score. A backhanded attempt.
It's got to be a base hit.
And Pacheco couldn't come up with it. The Rockies looking up towards the official score.
How can you not give that a base hit, though? This ball was scorched to the right side. This would have been a really tough play. He's diving for it. You know, if there's a doubt about it being a hit or an error, Dan, I say give it to De La Rosa, but that was just too tough a play for Pacheco. But I could also feel the angst of the Rockies personnel who were hoping for something special here this afternoon from De La Rosa.
So the base hit for Freeze, and it brings in John Jay. And with that activity in the Rockies bullpen, pitch count is at 95.
What's odd about that play too, and not noticing it before the at-bat of Freeze, is just how shallow defensively Pacheco was playing. That's really the odd part. He was not on the grass, but he was in. He wasn't playing a deep first base at all. That goes to perhaps another point late in the game. Todd Helton's there. Does he catch that?
Good point. Talk about a great Gold Glover in the past.
So the decision of the manager of what
very good point
defense do I send out there for the last couple of innings? Now he would have caught that because he's left-handed too.
To worry about it now. John Jay with a base hit out to left, on his way to second. Strong throw in by Carlos Gonzalez, and the Cardinals have something going here. Runners at second and third with 2 down.
All the runs in this game have scored with 2 outs. Now maybe it's the Cardinals' turn. 2 quick outs in the 7th. A base hit, then another liner down the left field line off the bat of John Jay. The ball boy has to be adept at getting out of the way of that baseball. Well done. That's not that easy to do. Holding on to his seat. He's got his glove. Balancing on the ledge. Outstanding work. Way to go, Matt. You always get those blooper reels where the ball boy catches that ball, doesn't know it was fair, and then kind of has that face of, uh-oh, I messed up.
And that's a liner caught this time. De La Rosa saying, where was that 2 hitters ago? West, let's head to our studio and a Bommarito Sports Update. pen. And here is Carlos Martinez making his home debut here in St. Louis, and so far so good. It's been fun to watch him.
Yeah, one of the problems of the Cardinals starters being so good is you haven't had a chance to look at Martinez enough, but he is just so much fun to watch pitch. We saw him pitch on that last road trip, Dan, and he has an electric fastball. He also has a good curveball to go along with it, likes his changeup, really a three-pitch pitcher, which if you're a pitching coach like Derek Lilliquist is on the left side there with Mike Matheny, you know 3 pitches means potential starter long term. But so far getting his feet wet at the big league level out of the Cardinal bullpen.
Carlos Martinez rocks and fires, and boy can he fire it. The pitch at 97. Most believe his future lies in the starting rotation, but Cardinals getting a look at the future here. That's fouled back by Rosario.
Got an interesting note here, Dan, from Brad Straubinger, who works with us at Fox Sports Midwest, that said that the Rockies broadcasters have been communicating in the game that they were wondering whether they would send De La Rosa back out for the 8th inning even if he had a no-hitter. After coming off Tommy John surgery, they were aware of a pitch count that we were not aware of, and they, in some ways, were glad he gave up a hit, because imagine that decision that the manager would have had.
Well, just call up Terry Collins and say,
that's right.
What do you think? Because he dealt with Johan Santana last year. Well, that's a little different for Walt than Regis Jesuit High School, where he was last year.
Competition a little better.
Yep. I think it does, though, bring up the point. Walt Weiss, Mike Matheny, Robin Ventura, how to handle the losses. You know, how to handle the ups and downs of the 6 months of a season.
Well, that was what Mike Matheny said the hardest part of managing his first year in the big leagues last year was. It's not the decisions, how to use the, you know, everybody's going to have their opinions about how to use the bullpen and what players should be playing, and you know, that's part of the game, and every kind of person that knows the game knows that there's a lot of variance to that, but it's dealing physically and emotionally with the losses as the manager. Most difficult thing for Mike.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest on this Mother's Day, brought to you by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer. Pitch at 97 from Carlos Martinez. When I watch him, it's hard not to think of Pedro Martinez.
Right.
You know, same body type, slinging the ball up there. Also has, Rick, the rise in his fastball a little bit, that extra gear.
A little hop to it, yeah.
Remember Roy Oswald? It seemed like the ball was rising a little bit, maybe because of his body type, and he had the long stride with his legs, but Martinez has got a little bit of that too. By the way, Roy Oswald now a member of the Rockies organization.
Interesting pickup for them.
Very interesting. Very interesting that he wants to go there.
Well, you almost kind of thought he might be done. There was a time where the Texas Rangers were interested in him in spring training, and you thought about him maybe finishing his career in Texas, and that would make sense. He wanted to go to a winner. That was what he was saying at the time, and you know, just was kind of slightly under the radar, but then he went way underneath the radar, and no one was really talking about Roy Oswald anymore.
Apparently that fit wasn't the fit that they thought. Some issues in how he was used. He was upset with Ron Washington. They talked about rotation and then the bullpen, and you know, some scouts are saying, look, you're not Andy Pettitte, you're not Roger Clemens, just to say, well, I'm ready to come back and pitch. They do believe that he needs a spring training, but the Rockies willing to take that flyer on him. And that's fouled back.
There was talk at times in the short minor league career of Carlos Martinez that he would fall in love with his changeup so much that he would throw it maybe too much because it was so good. And way out in front of the last three is Arenado. And you know, changeup can be such a fun toy because if you've got the right arm action to it and you're a guy that throws hard, it's just a devastating pitch. It just seems, how can that be? How can throwing the ball slower work better? But it just does. You cannot stay on it, as Arenado can well attest right now.
AT&T Uverse Rewind as we take a look at what's happened here today. Get you caught up. Maybe you're out for that brunch and just settling in at around 3:30. You're on your couch, you're full. Well, this isn't going to help. Cardinals down by the score of 5-0, and no hitter was just broken up last inning. Garcia, though, when you think about how he threw today, you wouldn't say it was just, well, that was a terrible start.
Right.
He had 2 bad pitches that wound up to be 5 runs.
Exactly.
Think about the competition the Cardinals could have in this starting rotation if healthy, with Wainwright, Martinez, Joe Kelly, Shelby Miller, Waka. List goes on and on. And I know I'm missing some of the names, but those are the ones that are big names of the young players that stand out, and then the veterans.
John Gast may
Lance Lynn. I mean, my goodness.
Throw himself into it. That pitch at 98 from Carlos Martinez. So if you're looking at something fun in this game, you're looking at it right now. Carlos Martinez, perhaps the future of the Cardinals, maybe big winner down the road. Who knows? He and Shelby Miller, both Cardinal rotation for years to come. Very possible.
3-2 the count. Skip Schumacher a couple years ago, extended spring, went down, faced Martinez, and he said this guy is the best of the bunch. That was 2 years ago. He said he was awesome. Ooh, just missed. So Rutledge is aboard with a 2-out walk. Charlie Blackmon is homer today. Understand the Rams have their draft picks here at the ball game today. Wide receiver that can hopefully make some plays, Mr. Austin. Two outs, count of 1 ball and no strikes. Outfield straight away. Liner into center field. Here comes Jay. He won't get to it. Playing fairly deep for Charlie Blackmon. And with that, it gives us a chance to take a look at the Nissan drive of the game. Troy Tulowitzki. Pitch that was up. He didn't make a mistake with it. Mistake by Garcia, and with that, a 3-run homer, and the Rockies haven't looked back since.
That came in the 3rd inning, and as you said, Dan, not a bad day for Jaime Garcia. Just a couple of pitches that hurt him. Rene Latchman, the first base coach.
Pretty surprised to see him talking over there. Rene Latchman, he doesn't stop. It's a base hit down into the corner. Martinez has an ERA. 1 run is in, another being waved home, and that makes it a 7-run Rockies lead.
Look at both runners. Josh Rutledge, a 2-out walk. Charlie Blackmon, a 2-out single to follow. He was the runner at first. Drive into the right field corner. Blackmon showing some good speed as well. And all 7 runs here this afternoon have scored with 2 outs. And that was a conversation that certainly needed an interpreter. Yadier Molina helping in the communication. The English of Carlos Martinez not very good yet. He's working on it. And one thing that we heard in his first interview on that road trip, Dan, that I just thought was a pretty cool moment. Carlos Martinez, through Tony Cruz, telling all of us that when he got called up to be a big leaguer for the first time, he was excited. He thanked God, and he said, "I cried." And it's pretty cool to have him just say very directly, if in Spanish, that the emotions were tremendous for him.
Beltran coming on, and his throw will head back into the infield as a 3rd run is scored against Martinez. Now, you are bilingual, so I'm assuming that you were able to pick up on what he was saying.
I got cried, and I got every 2 out of every 3 words.
It's pretty quick.
Pitch location, not bad. The result's not good for the first time of the very young career of Carlos Martinez, but there's going to be better days down the road, to be sure.
Cardinals will make a double switch. We'll tell you about that when we come back. Brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer, Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Salas is in to pitch. Shane Robinson takes over into center field. That's the double switch. And the Rockies have themselves an 8-run lead in trying to avoid the sweep today.
Chevy called to the bullpen. Right-hander Fernando Salas, and we've not seen much of him lately as well. Just 12 innings on the year. He's a guy that throws strikes out of the Cardinals bullpen. Had trouble a year ago with the long ball, but again, very big upside for him. We've seen him work in the closer's role before for the Cardinals, and did that well for a stretch. And for him to be effective, Dan, he has to be able to control and command his off-speed pitches, because that's his dominating, that's his strikeout pitch. His changeup makes the fastball better.
Well, if you're in that bullpen and you're hearing the name of Chris Carpenter, you hear Michael Wacha's 4-0 with an ERA that's near 1. You know, these outings become very important for guys like Salas and Joe Kelly. really anybody out there in the bullpen that has had issues this year.
And the other side of that, Dan, is that if you're a relief pitcher or you're a player in any position at the major league level, you better be thinking that every one of your outings is important, period.
Sure.
But having said that, I agree with you that you always have to be kind of thinking ahead, at least in the back of your mind, as to the import in terms of, where your next month's going to go. John Mozeliak said very candidly in spring training, when there was a lot of talk about his opening day roster, he said, I respectfully will tell you, I don't really care about our opening day roster. I care about our roster on July 15th. And what are we going to go down the stretch with? That's the bigger question.
High fly ball to left, and Matt Holliday makes the catch. Rockies pick up 3 more. Games 23 hits. Well, today the Cardinals, they look up, they see 2, and also the run differential at the offense today. Just kind of a lazy day here at the ballpark. Things haven't gone the way of the Cardinals in front of 40,000, and they trail by the score of 8-0.
Good things we have so many moms here at the ballpark today that can help us work through the emotions, as moms often do, of a game like this. See, that's the whole thing, Dan. That's the plan. The moms are here to help console us, to be that voice of reason, to say it's going to be okay. You'll get them tomorrow. That's what moms say.
Is that why your mom's here? Because we've had a bad broadcast, or
well,
she's going to console you later, or what?
Didn't want to break it to you, Dan.
Here's Shane Robinson. How old is your mother?
My mom is
still 39.
My mom is 73.
73. In good health?
In very good health.
Good.
Still works and follows Cardinals baseball. She thinks Pat Paris is the greatest person on the planet. I don't know why. Avid follower of the postgame.
Well, apparently it helps her go to sleep. 1-2 the count on Shane Robinson.
Part of it.
That's only when you're on it, Rick.
I understand.
Because Al and Pat or Edmonds. Who else we got? Bennett,
Izzy,
Chris Duncan. It's all must-see TV. But when Ricky H. 49 steps in the booth, it's Dr. Click. That was from your mom. I talked to her at length today about you.
Yeah. Felt kind of personal.
Sorry. Robinson, a swing and a miss. That's how we start the home half of the 8th.
The lefty is Rex Brothers. Walt Weiss goes to his bullpen again. Dan, the kind of the revelation that we had here as the game rolled on, that maybe De La Rosa wasn't going to be able to go 9 innings anyway, but would have been a really, really tough decision for Walt Weiss what to do with him if he'd have been able to retire the Cardinals quickly in that 7th inning. De La Rosa threw right at 100 pitches in his 7 innings of work, but it's the most he's thrown since coming off Tommy John. So what do you do?
Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that's out of play.
Mentioned a lot of the players that wanted to tell their moms they appreciated them and they loved them and wanted to wish him a happy Mother's Day. Talked to Matt Adams. His mom watches all the Cardinal games back in Pennsylvania, and he wanted to say a happy Mother's Day to her, Shelby Miller. To his mom.
Tough play here, bare hand, and no play as Carpenter picks up the base hit. Pair of walks and now on base with a single.
One of the things you like about Carpenter is just getting on base, whether it's a hit, whether it's a walk, hit by pitch, in this case an infield hit. He's been aboard a lot, and when you have him in front of Beltran, Holliday, Craig, and Molina, who have been 4 of the top 10 guys in the National League hitting with runners in scoring position, 4 of them in a row, pretty good recipe.
Carlos Beltran. I'm sure it's always fun for Carlos to face his former team, and he'll face the Mets tomorrow night. 6:05 first pitch here at the ballpark. Now, 2 years ago was his final season wearing that Mets uniform. And 2 years ago to the day, we flash back, Carlos did it not just once, not twice. How about one more time?
Left,
All
right,
the time
left.
he's done it.
Yeah.
3 home runs. That really is an amazing achievement. Home runs from both sides of the plate, as he's done that 10 times in his career. Uh-oh. That drops in for a hit. Carpenter on his way to second base and in no man's land.
So a fielder's choice. 4-6.
Routine. Isn't that something, though, Rick? If you could do that, and he's on a list with Mickey Mantle tied for 10, or with those 10. But to do it at this level, amazing, as Carpenter really nowhere to go there on that play.
Yeah, they're big names on that list with Beltran when you talk about the all-time switch hitters and the home run list and the number of hits and the number of career home runs. I mean, there's some big names there. When you're in the same sentence with Mickey Mantle, you have to be pretty excited about that.
Here's Matt Holliday, and he skies one to shallow right.
And they don't see it again. One guy did.
Yeah. Catch is made.
3 out of 4 didn't.
Sends us to the 9th.
edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris will be joined by Ricky Horton. They'll have a full breakdown of Jorge De La Rosa's day. More on Jake Westbrook's trip to the DL Plus. We'll have Mike Matheny's post-game comments as well. All that is coming up after the game. For now, it's back to the booth and Dan and Rick, guys.
Well, Jim, we have a special guest here at the booth. Rick, go ahead and take it over and tell us who's with us.
Yeah, my mom's on the spare mic here, and all the way from New York, and she had really good seats today, Dan. And as I told you, I got her that very special Mike Matheny jersey. I really dug down deep and picked that up for her yesterday, and she's here in the booth, and we're glad to have her.
I'm glad to be here.
So you're the one to blame.
Happy.
You're the one to blame, huh?
I'm the one to blame. This is my guy.
Was he always a good boy?
Uh-oh.
Oh, he was a wonderful boy. Forever.
Yeah. I told him how you used to play catch with me, Mom.
I did.
You did that for a long time. Taught me all about sports. And
yeah, every day after school, threw you grounders. Yeah, it was fun.
I remember your first advice to me when I had my first Little League game, and that was?
To make sure you run to first base.
That's what she told me. She sat me down and said, now when you hit the ball. I
had no idea that he knew what he was doing.
That's the way Dan feels, Mom.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that because my twins, who are 4, playing a T-ball game yesterday, and there was kids that were being tackled for the ball and running to the wrong base. So there's a lot of truth to that, except you were probably 13, Rick, when she told us.
Not quite, but almost there.
1 ball and 2 strikes here on Eric Young. He's the pinch hitter for the Colorado Rockies. So, Mrs. Horton.
Yes.
As one of our cameramen was nearly taken out down there on that line drive. So you were able to play catch with Rick. Did you throw harder?
Maybe at the time I did.
Even she gets in the act. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I was 25 at that time.
Right, exactly.
I actually wrote it in his baby book that he was going to be a professional baseball player. I have no idea how I did that, but
that's great.
He had gotten a baseball and a rattle for baseball bat for christening, and I just decided to write it in the book, and here he is.
So what was it like?
Still have the rattle.
When he was pitching in the major leagues, was it just as nerve-wracking of an experience as it could be for a parent?
It was very exciting, but I had a lot of confidence in him, and I don't think that I ever got really nervous. I just he was doing the best he could do, and I think he did great.
And he tells us that you watch us just about every night you can.
I do. I watch every game.
Now, is that more nerve-wracking for you, watching him perform on the air as opposed to being a player out there?
It's exciting. It really is, and I still get mad at some of the players sometimes. You know, I still show a little emotion.
Oh yeah.
I always want to win, I guess.
That's where the competitiveness comes from.
Comes from Mrs.
Oh
Horton.
Yeah.
Now he told us a great story that, and I'm not sure if it was your husband's mom or if it was your mother. I think it was your mother, and he said that your mom loved Stan the Man, and that's how you guys started loving Cardinal baseball.
Absolutely. My memories of her is coming home from school, and she's listening to a ball game on the radio. And I think she took my brother down to see him at Yankee Stadium in, let's see, he was 11, and he's 82 now. So she was always a fan, and Stan Musial was her guy.
That's awesome. This is Jonathan Herrera. Now, Mrs. Horton.
Yes.
So, Rick makes it to the big leagues. Do you remember seeing that first game?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we had to take Mom down to my mother, Philadelphia, first game, and I had to call my brother because my mom wasn't feeling really well. And I said, you know, I really want to take her. And he said, you have to take her. So we did, and she was very excited. In fact, she was at his signing when he first signed
Is that
the
right?
Cardinals too. Yeah, she came up to the house and the scout was there.
Probably big money back then too.
Oh yeah. I think I was pitching against Jerry Kuzman at the time in Philadelphia too, who was a former Met, who you know, all the emotions of going through having family there for that special moment, but also pitching against somebody who was kind of a boyhood idol of yours too. Really A lot of things going on that day.
Did you ever tell Whitey Herzog that, you know what, you're not using my son properly, okay?
No, I think he knew what he was doing.
Okay. Good.
See, I told you she knew what she was talking about.
Yeah, his bullpen by committee, I think he used to call it, worked really well.
You bet. 1-2 is taken outside. By the way, Tony Cruz is your new catcher. And I'm assuming you follow the game now day in and day out with the Cardinals.
I do.
You probably have become just the biggest Cardinal fan, even though you're based on the East Coast, and then you come here to Busch Stadium. There really is nothing like coming to St. Louis, is there?
It's really exciting. I was very excited about coming here, no doubt, and it's just very special.
Time now for a very special Budweiser player of the game, and we'll go with Mom.
How about that? And as it should be on Mother's Day.
Well, thank you.
Mom's been so supportive for me in so many ways, and just so glad you could be here on Mother's Day. A bunch of moms here. Did you get a floppy hat?
I absolutely did,
Good.
and I love it.
Good. Glad to hear it. Happy Mother's Day. That's my other gift.
Thank you.
Big spender, Horton. Again, going out of his way. Make you feel special, Mom. Oh, don't rub his arm like, oh, poor Ricky. He'll be all right.
He's pretty special.
Oh, we love him too. Okay, come here, Rick. give your mom a hug. It's Mother's Day.
Yeah, I'm just not hugging you, Dan.
All right. 2 outs, and here's a 1-0 pitch to Rosario. 1 ball and 1 strike. Did you ever meet Stan the Man?
I never did. No.
Oh, he couldn't pull the strings to get that.
Couldn't work that out, but I think you've met Red Shandy's before, I believe.
I did.
Red here at the ballpark today, by the way.
And that was another one of Mom's favorite, yes.
How do you not love
and
Red?
Enos Slaughter, yeah.
It's pretty well hit out in left center field, and the catch is made. Fighting the sun, Shane Robinson. Nice play. Well, happy Mother's Day, Mrs. Horton.
Thank you.
Great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's
Happy
very
Mother's
special.
Day.
Thank
you.
you.
For the 9th, and very special moment. Mrs. Horton up here, and that was neat to do.
That was cool, Dan. Thank you very much. And I know she does love baseball, and that's a great thing about this sport. It's really a family connector, and we talk about that quite a bit, and maybe a glimpse into my personal family and the connection. But I know that story's playing out here at the ballpark today. Moms out here with their kids, and grandmothers out here with their grandchildren, and no, they have not seen the score that they've wanted, but the experience is what really gets passed on and what gets remembered.
Rockies bring in Matt Belisle to pitch this 9th inning. Herrera and Young stay in the game. And here's Daniel Descalso. It's been a while since we've seen Daniel. Very cool stuff. Well, you signed with the Cardinals. You didn't expect to have Mom in the booth when you're doing.
I sure did. That was not on my radar.
Right.
No.
you know, Jane McLaughlin doesn't miss a game in South City, so I know she's watching. And happy Mother's Day to my mom. And my poor wife is stuck with the 4 kids.
Of course.
I just grinded away this job. It's so tough, you know, Rick, coming down here to the ballpark and watching Major League Baseball.
We're pretty lucky. And as you
food on the table,
had a chance to meet your mom many times, Dan, and I've seen her at the ballpark.
Boy, did that have an odd sound to it. Descalso picks up the double.
I don't think they made that pink bat very well.
It's half aluminum, half wood,
half balsa wood.
Man.
Clank. But it's a hit. Any way you slice it. Well, that's a gift to somebody.
Yep.
Happy Mother's Day, Jane McLaughlin. Here's a bat.
There you go.
Game used, Daniel Descalso.
What are those floppy hats? I think any pitch at this point for Tony Cruz looks like it's coming in at about 500 miles an hour.
Very difficult for him to keep his timing. You mentioned early in the broadcast, Dan, the number of innings that Yadier Molina has caught this year, just through the roof. In fact, I would guess, and I'm not even sure they keep stats on that. Of course, keep stats on everything in baseball, but the percentage of innings caught through the first 36 games of a season, I would have to say Yadi's right up there
for sure.
The top. Certainly over the last 20 years. But for Cruz to come in and have an at-bat that is a comfortable at-bat is asking a lot. Mike Matheny did say, Dan, that the way the schedule is worked out in the early going, he was talking about that today. He said there's a start in the future for Tony Cruz, in the near future, so surely the Mets series he'll get a start, and that's planned. But Mike said the off days have worked towards keeping Yadi fresher. And they haven't seen signs of Yadi tiring either at the plate or behind the plate, so keep him in there.
Also, if you look at today, and you talked about it, the numbers that Molina had, 5 for 8 home run against De La Rosa, so might be a good time to play him. And you're right, 2 off days this last week.
I think there was a rain out at a really kind of good time as far as getting Yadi some rest. That happened in Pittsburgh. This almost became like a built-in, maybe not full day off, but half day off.
It's gotten to the point where you need his bat in the lineup too. So when you want to not play him behind the plate, Ty Wigginton is the hitter now. You think about first base, but then you've also got Matt Adams, who you have to get at bats to, and Adams is on deck. Wigginton into right. That drops in for a base hit. Descalso had to wait, make sure it wasn't caught. And he stops at third. Runners at the corners for St. Louis.
You know, every at-bat matters, even in a game like this. Dan, the Cardinals certainly with an uphill climb here, down 8-0. But you don't get a lot of at-bats if you're Ty Wigginton or Daniel Descalso. Take advantage of it. And that at-bat may lead to another at-bat and another pinch hit and some confidence booster off the bench, and now an opportunity for Matt Adams to do the same.
Brings a little bit of the excitement to his at-bats because of that raw power he possesses. Adams as a pinch hitter this year, 1 for 3, and that one hit was a home run at a key spot, 2-run shot.
So the Cardinals have a Matt Adams coming off the bench who, just because of the power you mentioned, you're excited to watch him play. They've got a Carlos Martinez coming out of the bullpen who didn't fare well today, but he brings a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that you can't wait to see, and makes this team fun, I would say. Aside from what the starters are able to do, that you've got guys off the bench you're looking forward to seeing, even if in just cameo roles.
entertaining club. There's no doubt. I think we're going to see that all season long. Usually Memorial Day, you've got a pretty good feel of just how good your team is, kind of the benchmark time in the season. Take a harder look at your club.
You're always looking, Dan, but Memorial Day is the day where you maybe start to reevaluate. People have had a chance to show that maybe their bad start's not just a bad start, it's more than that.
Adams with a base hit into right. Ball just jumps off his bat.
Sure does.
The Cardinals will not be shut out today. 8-1 with 2 runners on and 1 out here in the home half of the ninth.
The ball jumping, as you say, off the bat of Matt Adams. Ball down in the zone and just raw power.
As this roster is currently constructed, I'm not sure how you could get Matt Adams 400 to 500 at bats, but it'd be fun to see what he might be able to do.
It will happen eventually.
We said that last year about Matt Carpenter. He's always giving the Cardinals competitive at bats, and probably going to see what he could do with a full season of at bats.
I still believe that Matt Carpenter's going to hit 300 this year, and I believe he's going to hit 320 some year. And with the year that Matt Adams had last year in AAA, he's going to have a year where he's going to hit 25, 30 home runs.
Sure.
But he's going to have to get the at-bats for that to happen.
Here's the 0-2 to Cosmo. Rockies will be at Chicago starting tomorrow. 3 games with the Cubs, and then they'll take on San Francisco. The 10-game homestand continues. 4 against the Mets for St. Louis, and then next weekend, all the great giveaways in line beginning on Friday night. It's the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, 6:05 start time tomorrow. Throw down to third, in there safely.
And the Mets had such a good start to this season, and they've trailed a bit, or tailed off a bit. Ended up a little closer player at third than we thought. Kind of a late jump for both runners. Not sure whether it was worth taking that extra base or not. Decided to both go. Wigginton and Adams. So a chance for the Cardinals to pick up a couple more here in the ninth.
Wild pitch, charge to Belisle. Now time is called by the catcher. For Walt Weiss, last thing he wants to see is this game continue on to where he has to get anybody up in his bullpen.
And the Cardinals will also face Milwaukee, as you mentioned, in this homestand. It'll be interesting to see whether we see the good Milwaukee or the bad Milwaukee. They've been a streaky team. And I also wonder whether the Cardinals have actually contributed to them being a streaky team. Just by the way the Cardinals played them and kind of just knocked them down the way they did in Milwaukee. They just went south after being very, very hot.
2-2 pitch. Teams are facing each other now 19 times inside their division. I'm not sure that's good for baseball in one way, and another way I think it's good because the rivalry really is built up.
I understand what you're saying, but I like it. I mean, I would say I understand that there's a familiarity that comes along with that, but I just like it. I like the team that you need to beat, you get to play.
Yeah.
And you don't have to watch the scoreboard to do it.
Cosma down the left field line, foul. Broke his bat.
And the rivalries get deepened with that. I think you have more games that have great meaning on a regular basis. That, you know, every time you play the Cincinnati Reds, every time you play the Pittsburgh Pirates, those are critical series in Milwaukee, and they happen often enough to where when a fan comes to the ballpark, again, I'm not going to get off on interleague play and in the reality of that, but there's, you know, you're playing the Seattle Mariners or you're playing the Cincinnati Reds, which has more meaning.
Sure. Fowler shading from the sun, makes the catch, runner tags up. 8-2 RBI for Pete Cosma.
A lot of problems with the sun here in the later innings.
Well, you mentioned it, how clear of a sky it is and bright day.
Baseball people love to say that it's a high sky. I always thought the sky was in the same place, frankly. Can the sky be low? I really don't get that expression, but I say it anyway because baseball people say it. High sky today here at Busch Stadium.
There's a lot of things that we say I don't understand. Just bite your tongue at this point. Learned many of those things listening to baseball throughout the years. A lot of tweets asking us to bring your mom back in the booth. Cardinals come back and win this game, she will begin to travel with us.
There you go.
Then all of a sudden it becomes a giveaway. The Rick Horton mom bobblehead. And then we got to find a way to get her in the rally squirrel on a ring.
I sense a promotion coming on.
$50 years from now, people, what is that? Who is that lady?
Nothing much has gone well for the Cardinals here this afternoon, but Dan, that's part of the game of baseball, is finding a way to have fun in the midst of it as a fan or as a player, and finding a way not to get too down about it, because especially when you have a big loss, it's just a long day at the ballpark. But tomorrow is another day.
And tomorrow is the Mets. They'll be in town 6:05 with our first pitch on the air at 5:30. Rick has got to run. He's heading over to the post-game set, and he'll join Pat Paris coming up.
8-2 the score. Garcia would like to have a couple of pitches back. Still been very well pitched last couple of weeks for the Cardinals. Unfortunately, the Rockies did it with 2 outs today.
On to the post-game show. Rick and Pat standing by, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. 8-2 our final.